In the landscape of higher education in the 21st century, UNISA stands out. We are the largest university on the African continent with more than 300,000 students, offering a wide range of study choices of incomparable value through our distance learning mode of delivery. We draw on a unique heritage with its roots founded in 1873, initially as an examining body, but later the first university to teach exclusively by means of distance education, and today the continental leader in open distance learning. We remember our study materials traveling to a small island, a remarkable one, Robben Island, where the likes of Nelson Mandela and many other iconic figures of the liberation struggle of our country found a lending hand to leadership and a way to define their futures and that of our country. Today, through various leading centers of African scholarship, such as the Thabo Mbeki African Leadership Institute, the African Institute of Renaissance Studies, and the Archie Mafeje Research Institute, we help to shape thought pioneers and the African leaders of tomorrow. When we look ahead, we see digital learning, online education, with technology as our ally in accelerating the socio-economic and political rejuvenation of our continent. Distance education and e-learning can reach further, faster and more efficiently. Through our core activities of teaching and learning, research and innovation, and community engagement with significant societal impact, we give shape and content to our vision of the African University shaping futures in the service of humanity. As South Africa's most productive university, we train 50% of South Africa's teachers and produce close to a third of South Africa's chartered accountants, and a growing community of researchers includes more than 10,000 master's and doctoral students with 1,850 academic staff. We are serious about science, research and innovation, and at our science campus in Johannesburg, we apply science to help solve some of society's most protracted problems. Considering the huge number of students who have passed through our doors over the past years, UNISA has graduated the rich and famous and the poor and famous, and of course, the game changers. Most of our graduates are ordinary men and women whose commitment and diligence have enabled them to go and do extraordinary things with their lives. We draw together a community of stakeholders in an irrevocable destiny to shape our country and lead our continent to strive for social justice, to foster excellence and integrity. At times, we are referred to as the University on the Hill, with its roots firmly embedded in communities. Higher education is a daunting and challenging endeavor in the 21st century, with new challenges and demands at every turn. We will continue to shape the future of our people, our country, and the continent. We are more than just a university. We define tomorrow.
Okay, very good morning to everyone. Can we all stand? I know it's a bit of we're all excited. But the best way for us to settle down is let's observe a few short seconds of silence as we stand at this time. Thanks. Okay, thank you, colleagues. Once again, a very good morning to each one of you. So let me start by saying welcome to a day of immersive technology. And this is something that we've been planning a long time, and when we look at the team around us, we say, it's actually here, we're at the moment that we're planning for a long time. I'd like to take this opportunity to firstly welcome our VP of Teaching and Learning, Community Engagement and Student Support, Prof. Motso Marikana, who's joining us live on Teams stream. Our VP ICT CIO, Ma'am Nakena, thank you as well. Not forgetting our ED, our acting ED of DTSFL, Prof. Mokano, Thank you as well. And then we have a few directors with us from different departments, a few colleagues from strategic departments. We have our strategic partners here as well. And not forgetting, on our live stream, we have academics from UNISA that are watching us. We have the regions that are joining us live on YouTube as well. And we have our e-tutors that are also joining us live on YouTube. So we'd like to say welcome to all of them as well. And for those that are joining us live on the YouTube streaming, please remember that this is an interactive session, so you post your comments on the chat, and we have a group of colleagues who are basically on the background who will pose the questions on your behalf when we are having the sessions. So let me firstly start by saying it's Women's Month, right? Wow, silence. It's Women's Month, right? And where's our music? It's Women's Month, right? Our music is a bit delayed. Okay, so let me start by firstly acknowledging that it's a digital workshop, and one of the biggest challenges with the stats in Africa and South Africa has been the gender disparity. It's something that we agree on. But in considering where we are, I'd like to firstly acknowledge the fact that we have in our midst, there are women that are not just changing higher education, but are leading digital transformation in higher education. And these are women that are really shaping the future of technology. So when we look at the stats and observe that the gender disparity, I think we must really give a round of applause to the ladies, especially on this table, that have actually defied the odds and set a new pace for a new generation to say that even though you are female, you're not marginalized, and you can change the digital transformation as a female. So I think we need a round of applause for them as well. Thanks. As noted earlier, we also have with me my colleague Tloki. I can't see him. Oh, yeah, there's there. Director of Business Intelligence, who has been a very strategic part of working with us. Samantha from Microsoft. We can't say thank you enough for you for working with us on this. And not forgetting from our side, ADOVH, let me say it very nicely, the lady who controls the money for us, Ms. Matata. Thank you very much for being here as well. We appreciate your time. So colleagues, at this point, let me take this opportunity to invite our VP, Prof. Motsa Motikanen. Thank you, VP, for joining us. I know you've also got a busy schedule, but we'd like to give you the opportunity to officially welcome the colleagues and also share a few of your thoughts on where we are. Thanks, Prof.
I'm here.
Thank you, Prof. You can go ahead. You're live.
Okay, thank you very much. Colleagues, good morning. I'm trying not to share my video. The light is very bad where I am. But let me just quickly, just to give you a bit of comfort, maybe show my face very briefly, but the light is very horrible. Let me switch it off and proceed to say good morning, colleagues, good morning, Madam E.D. Prof. Mahanu, and I wish to also acknowledge the VP for ICT and the team. Good morning, colleagues. I wish to first and foremost congratulate you for the activity that you are always showing in this space of the digital. Colleagues, I know I have been following your work for the longest of time, even on matters that relate to the MOOCs and so forth. But this morning, I'm very excited, because this is where we come to show in practical terms the identity of our university as a comprehensive open distance e-learning institution. Ladies and gentlemen, this season that we are facing right now is a season that has a lot of challenges which are actually very exciting because you must know them and you must respond to them. These challenges or these changes, let me not even call them challenges, these changes in our higher education space typified by naturally the fourth industrial revolution, the shrinking economy, the younger student who comes to the university, and the much older student who has to battle with platforms. It is also an era where the high school education does not quite prepare the student for higher education. It is also an era where the distance mode of studying with UNISA brings a challenge to the students of our university. Even the strange systems that we use are sometimes a put off to our student who has chosen us amongst many universities. In addition to that, there are challenges of a very strange institutional culture that the students may not be accustomed to. A strange language that the student has to first understand and master before they can access the content and excel in the content, which may also be an even stranger entity. Nancy Gleason, one of the leading researchers in digital transformation in higher education, says that automation is an inevitable part of transformation in higher education this century. There's a lot of research that goes into transformation in the digital phase of higher education, and I'm sure we are very all fair with that, but this is an area that is worth exploring. Ladies and gentlemen, as it is that we are to contend with technology as a special field, but also we are to contend with technology as a means or an instrument to advance education. Much in the same way that we did in the 20th century, where we had to learn English, not as specialists of English, but in order that we had to be able to communicate in writing and in verbal mode. The same applies to technology right now. The digital culture is upon us, and we need to learn it in order that we can save the space of learning and teaching in higher education. Therefore, Professor Mahano, I wish to say that it is important for us to prepare the attitude of the unison, the skills of the unison in this automation economy era. It is very, very important that no one is left behind. You shall recall, ladies and gentlemen, that when the second industrial revolution came, many people were affected negatively in the education space. It came with a very, very fast pace of changing a whole lot of things, and the education space was grossly affected, where the skills were not so up to scratch. It is my belief that revolutions will come, industrial revolutions will come, industrial revolutions will go. But in this particular era, I am very happy to have a team like you, which is thinking like I am, that it is not an era that we should be afraid of, but we shall tame it, we shall work with everybody as best we can. Thank you, Prof. Mahano and your team, ladies and gentlemen. I wish you the best for this workshop, and I'm very excited to participate in it. Thank you very much.
With those wide words, I want to say thank you to Prof as well. I think Prof captured this quite nicely with the points on attitude, skills, and values is really what we need to drive inside UNISA, but also our students as well. And I think the beauty of it, the way she captured the last part, we shouldn't be afraid to walk this path. We should really take it by our hands and walk together and engage it. And I think for us, even as ADOVH and as we are part here as a group, it's a matter of us materializing that vision to drive the strategy in the institution. So Prof, thank you very much for those wise words, and also thank you for sharing your thoughts on the 4IR, and also for encouraging us on how we actually take this forward as an institution. So we really appreciate that. Thank you, Prof. And now, at this time, we also have our VP ICT, CIO with us, and I'm going to call Anna Kenna to the floor. Interestingly enough, when she walked in, nobody knew who she was. She just walked silently in, and everyone was, who's that with Prof. Makano? So thank you very, very much. For put your hands together as we welcome her to the platform. Thank you.
Good morning. Can you all hear me? All right, super. Thank you, Program Director. Good morning, Prof. Mutsa. Good morning, Acting ED for DTSFL, Prof. Makano. And good morning to all the colleagues here this morning. It is such a pleasure to be invited to this session this morning. I'm really excited about what I'm going to learn out of this opportunity this morning, and I'm looking forward to our continued collaboration going forward. In ICT, we are driving the ICT digitalization strategy, and our objective is to deliver technology solution lifecycle management that advances student success rates, grows research output, and enables the curriculum. We're doing that by driving 5 strategic principles, the most important one being to be academic focused and student centric. It is our most important digitalization strategy principle, and today is an example of how we need to do that, collaborating with experts in the field such as yourself. We need to make sure that we use our competencies in the multimedia team to complement your skills and to assist you with student support services that you are doing, both from a video services that we can provide and through other multimedia channels. In Kanye's team, you can see already today the live streaming is what we are doing to enable the work and the conversations that are taking place here today. But the next level where we want to go is to be able to use our skills to complement your expertise in terms of the video content that you want to generate, the teaching mechanisms that you are taking advantage of already, Dr. Chetty, and collaborate with you further on how else we're able to enable that. We also want to focus on innovation. As one of our strategic principles, we're putting together an incremental innovation framework so that we can conceptualize ideas and work together with you. Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the multi-sided platform meeting yesterday, Dr. Chetty, but I trust that it was the beginning of something special. What we're looking to do is, how do we take our products and look for a model where we can, by understanding our students and what they need, we can begin to generate our products or new features faster, that will cater to them, but that will keep them engaged, and that will offer those support mechanisms that you want to drive from an academic perspective. And I hope that these are some of the things that we can get going by applying that innovation framework. One of the other digitalization principles we're driving is about composability, making sure that our architecture is enabling you. It is not monolithic, where it takes too long to meet your needs, but rather it is modular, so that we are able to respond quite swiftly to the needs that we have in the academic space. We want to secure teaching, learning, and research, because as we all know, we are faced with those challenges where our student information is leaked on a regular basis, and we want to see that stop. We also, lastly, want to drive a digital workplace to enable your productivity as the academic project, but also look at how do we enable that productivity from a student perspective. So, in summary, that is the ICT digitalization strategy that we're driving, and today I really want us to be student-centric in how we enable you. And I'm excited to learn about the work that Microsoft is enabling from a gamification perspective, because those are some of the ways that we use technology to enable how we want to see student success rates grow in the university. the work about immersion and having the Pepper robot here, I think that is also exciting. Prof. Mota, I know what is very close to her heart is transformation, and one of those to achieve transformation is through multilingualism that she has shared with me. That's something very, very close to her heart, and she would like ICT to see us as we are being academic focused and student-centric to assist her in achieving that vision. So imagine, if you will, that you were saying with Prof. Lohan, you walk into one of our regional centers, you greet Pepper in your language, and Pepper responds. And you ask her, Pepper, I'm lost. Where must I go? Just turn right, turn left, to the second desk there to assist you. Wouldn't that be wonderful? And those are the things that we really want to work with you and collaborate with you on. Dr. Makatukulo, in your presentation in the ODEM conference, you touched on how digitalization works. One of the elements is through collaboration. And I think that today is specifically such an example, and we hope that we can produce more exciting papers with you in the next conference. Colleagues, let's enjoy this morning. I'm looking forward to how we continue to collaborate, and I would like to see Kindness team be more visible in your space. These studios that you have, let's take them throughout the country. This immersive technology, these opportunities for gamification, let us produce more opportunities for them. I'm excited to do it.
Thanks. Okay, thanks colleagues. While they are for our colleagues on YouTube sorting out the audio for you, don't you just love the fact that when the VP of ICT uses the same words that we are using? that's amazing. You mentioned enablement, and I can actually attest to the fact from our very first conversation, you really enabled us. And I think from ADOVH, we must say thank you for that. You've come in, you've supported us, and we really appreciate that. In your session, you also used the word innovation, transformation, and I think that's a key phenomenon for us in the institution. How we drive innovation, how we also drive transformation. And it links up very nicely with the earlier presentation by our VP of Teaching and Learning on the idea of skills, values, and attitudes as well. And I think your point on the student-centric perspective is what Prof. Makano is already smiling about, because that's her passion. So I think that really is where we are as ADOVH as well, is that ADOVH was established in 2021 as an incubator for digital innovation through a DX COVID-19 response grant fund. Thereafter, subsequent events were funded through the DX UCDB projects, specifically enhancing student support and for our readiness. And a lot of this innovation speaks directly to the technology that we use. And I think I like the fact that you've actually already said you'd like to see Pepper in all the different regions. You'd like to see ADOVH. And I think when we met in the morning and we engaged with Pepper, the excitement behind artificial intelligence showed us the ability to have that connection. And I think our students would love that. And I'm sure that when we get to that point, the students that are joining us on YouTube will attest to that and confirm that. Are we good with sound, colleagues? Almost. Okay, so I need to keep talking until later. So colleagues, so thank you very much to those that are joining us on YouTube as well. Please post your comments and questions, and we will engage with you. I'm going to ask Prof. Makano to come to the stage, so while Richard sets up Prof. Makano in the meantime, so we don't lose time. For those of you that don't know Prof. Makano, especially our partners, Prof. Makano is the Acting Executive Director for the Department of Tuition Support and Facilitation of Learning. In DTSFL, she's our mother, we call her mom, right? Prof, welcome, and thank you for leading us as well, and we appreciate you. And as I mentioned earlier, student support is really your heartbeat, and I think from ADOVH, we've latched onto that, so thank you very, very much, Prof.
May I greet the program director, Dr. Denzel Chetty, the VP Teaching and Learning, Community Engagement and Student Support, Professor Dombizoro Motsa Madikane, the VP and CIO, ICT, Matabonakene, the colleagues from DT, SFL, our colleagues from Microsoft, and our colleagues from Kani's team. A warm good morning to Mela, Dimacheroni, Abusheni, Sanbonani, Molo, Huyamore, Bondia. I don't hear you. This is what we should be teaching Peppa. When I say to Peppa, Dimacheroni, Peppa must be able to hear me. Dimacheroni, Peppa. Okay, not yet configured. I'm a teacher by profession. You can hear me. I'm a teacher by profession. So when it comes to teaching and learning, student support, this talks to the who I am. And I get excited when it comes to student support. Why? Without the student, we don't have the institution. And I'm very happy to what the VP Teaching and Learning said and to VP CIO ICT said. Already you set the context that we are now in the era of innovation. We are in an era where our students need to know that they are moving and transiting from high school level to university, and also the language must change. Now, who are the UNISA students? I have there in the slide a pictorial overview of the UNISA students. We have the UNISA students. I took a photo of Alexandra Township and those who administered the examinations. You heard from the invigilator app, the noises as you were listening to the report, that the student is writing an examination in a very noisy area. I took a photo of Santon on the extreme right, and then Lubenis Internet Cafe, I think it's somewhere in the Western Cape. I think it's Kailicha or Nyanga or Langa. Then in the middle, on the bottom is Lusigi Sigi, down in the Eastern Cape, Sky, maybe it's your home. And then we have KZN, where our students experience a disaster. So now all these students are registered with us. And anything, any innovation that we need to come up with, any mode of transformation, we need to have the student of UNISA at the back of our minds. When we teach, we are not teaching a Santon student only, but it's a Santon student, plus a Lusigi Suki student, Guyana student, Ethiopia student, and all over the world, somewhere in India, in Canada. So this is the context of our students, and we are looking at our strategic focus area of the institution. The first one, it says we must accelerate the student success, and the pass rate should be above 75%. That's the first strategic focus area. Then when you look at the second strategic focus area, that's where we are talking about innovation and ICT. And the third one talks about the online modules. The fourth one is transformation and to reduce the dropout rate. Now, when you look at this context of the students and the dropout rate, how are we going to match all these four strategic areas that we are having in our goal as a university? This is what we want to achieve. COVID-19 and its aftermath. As UNISA in the past, we couldn't become an E. E was missing because we were still receiving assignments through paper mode. We were still going to the PEP store to courier the assignments. But COVID was bad, but it accelerated our growth. We were propelled into another mode of operation. And we can say, though it was bad, but it was good for an open distance and e-learning. We've been stuck in the correspondence mode of hurrying assignments, etc. So we are happy about that. So we're forced to go fully online to also develop the study material to be accessible online. The assignments also were submitted online because I was a tuition manager there. We had to compel our students to submit all the assignments online to open our learning management system. The closing dates were no longer an issue at that time in 2020. The summative assessments were online. We were holding meetings in the morning, in the evening. I remember in one meeting, we finished at 10 because we were saying ICT is not coming on board. And thanks to our VP who understands the language of teaching, so we just applaud her. And then, of teachers, she understands the pedagogic language. And that is what we were yearning for, that ICT should not lead pedagogy, but pedagogy should lead and ICT should support. This is what we have been crying for. And thanks to Menage that you are here as a support structure and you are moving along with us to understand where we are going. Practical virtual simulations were introduced. I remember the College of Engineering, Science and Technology had to do experiments virtually. Student orientation were now on Teams. In the past, we used to call them to our Senate Hall, ZK Matthews. We were going to the regions, but COVID-19 and its aftermath, we are now in a position to meet them online. And we saw them also on the 1st of August, we connected with them. The library material is also online. And we had to think of strategies, maximizing online teaching, and E in CODEL was now enhanced because all along it was sort of a silent vowel. It was not visible at all. That's where we see Dr. Masheko Rampafelen. I was in the College of Education, and we had to come up with a TP-tube modality of recording the lessons or presenting them online because we were forced to prepare the students for the online examinations, and the online tuition had to go on because we were finding that we cannot meet our students halfway, but something must be done. So Dr. Ramashiru Patlele is there. The TP tube, the teacher centers were effective, but during COVID they were closed down. CPD in the center played a significant role because training was accelerated during COVID-19. That's when academics were now assisted in uploading question papers, formulating papers online, and also ADOVH came on board, training the students on the other side, and some of the ADOVH members were also roped in to train the academics. The e-tutors also were trained in a massive way. If you see the photo right at the bottom left there, that's in the Senate Hall, when the e-tutors were now trained on an online platform how to use it. Our studio also became effective of ADOVH. So these are the achievements that were forced by COVID-19. Shall we applaud ourselves because the E became alive? We are no longer a paper university, although for NQF level 5, SMPD is still saying, okay, we can print material for them. Maximizing student support in a CODEL context. So the online visibility is also important, and this is what we tried to hammer, to say if we don't support our student, we'll have a high rate of dropout, will also have a high failure rate amongst the student body. So what must we do? Everybody, the support structures should be there, and also the academic side should be there, because the student at the center, as Menakene said, the student-centric is the approach that ICT is now going to follow. And we are really excited about that. The exams, it's something that was, let me say, was actually pulling everybody to say, we don't want our students to fail. ADOVH also had a voice, because ADOVH at UNISA was just known by a few individuals, those who will call in Tatenkuna. Tatenkuna, yes. Those who will call in Tatenkuna to say, come and help us in the college. Whereas other colleges understood the role of ADOVH more, especially for those who are in the College of Education, because that's our speciality. We need to work with learners with special needs, or those who are having some, those who are differently able, let me put it that way. So ADOVH also had to come and say, for us to bring student support, we need to do ABC. We need to adapt the material. And adaptation, Tate Nkuna, and accommodation, those are still foreign terms at UNISA. Most of the academics, when you talk about adaptation and also, let me say, accommodation, they still think of accommodation as that room where people will be. And instead of putting it in the context of a student who's differently able, how do you accommodate that student in the teaching and learning context? So we really want to appeal to Microsoft as you are coming on board. Denzel Chetty understands the language of tuition. That when we develop whatever material, whatever innovation, we have different students. I talked about the context of the location. That is not enough, but you also need to look at the differently abled students. How is curriculum adaptation, material adaptation, and accommodation infused in our learning space, or teaching and learning space? So we saw the telecenters working, being revived this year. Currently they are calling them the DACs, the Digital Access Centers. That's a modern term. I heard it from Dr. Makatu Kuno. I said, what? DACs, pidi pidi. No. She said, no, Prof, digital access. I said, oh, thank you. I know the telecenters because I belong to the old era. Thank you. They came into a revival mode also. This is what we need. Now, it will be exciting when we go to the regions to see everything that we aspire to see, to have, especially in an era of 4IR. That will be exciting. Improving on practice. Now here I'm urging everybody in the room, Microsoft included. We must all become reflective practitioners. Ongoing research in what we do, what works, what is accessible to an inclusive population. I'm not only talking about the student population, but to an inclusive population, even to an academic who is differently abled. Some of our academics who are differently able, they wait for laptops and I don't know, is it JAWS or whatever, for quite a long time. This is disturbing. And to our students who are differently able, some complete even their degrees without having the necessary gadgets, or let me say enablers that will help them to complete their studies. I'm a fan or activist of student support. So when we don't support students, it's as much as let's close shop because we are not working here. So that should be a priority. Any form of innovation How inclusive is it? Ask yourself that question. How inclusive is it for an academic, for a support staff in assignment and administration, for support staff in registration, and also for our ICT colleagues? VP, I want to challenge your team of ICT. We have many colleagues in Cas van Vuren who only help us with password and changing, what do you call, maybe the battery or whatever. And I say, but how can they have so many young people here? Their job is to change the password and whatever. Amen. No, training must be all done. Training must be done. No, they can't just be there. I mean, and then they will be telling you about 2 people at UNISA who can do function X and Y. That thing must come to an end. Because I've been in the exam meetings from 2020. Then you say the timetable does not accommodate the modules with high numbers, and they are put somewhere towards the end, November or December. Then they'll tell you, no, it's only so and so who can do it. That game must come to an end. We can't be having Makatu Kuno who's able to press this button. There's nothing impossible here. There's nothing impossible here. I didn't go to a school to learn how to operate a computer, but I'm able to operate this thing. So why can it be only so and so who's able to do X and Y? No, if so and so is on leave, we'll have to wait. Oh, are you comfortable with that, UNISA colleagues? It must come to an end. It must come to an end. I'm sorry. I'm an activist of student support. So when you say we can't do this, Prof. Mahanu, because so and so is on leave, to me, I'm saying, now, what is your role? If you say you are an ICT guru, what is it that you know? Do you know only how to change the password? I can also do that. So what is it that you are better off compared to me? Because I'm an educationist, but I can learn to do that. So let's upskill our colleagues in Cas van Vuren. Which digital modalities can be accessible for online platforms and for diverse students? I think I said that one. I'm in the mode of research. I've seen CPD doing training. Good, tick. I've seen ADOVH doing training. Good, tick. I've seen ICT helping. Good, tick. Are we in a scholarship mode? This is a university. We don't just do things for this is my job, this is my role. We constantly reflect on our practice. We constantly research on our practice. And when you turn the business modality of a university into a scholarship, you are able to improve and to keep up with the trends in the world. Why? You read papers, you go to conferences, you write about your practice, you publish. Sorry, when you publish, you are putting yourself out there to say, as UNISA, this is how we operate, this is how we research in our practice, this is what we are doing. So I'm challenging us today that we are not only going to run around saying, oh, we are training academics, they don't know this gadget. Oh, we are training the student. Go into research. What is Indira Gandhi University doing? Because it's an open distance and e-learning. What is Nigeria Open National University doing? Because it's an open distance and e-learning. And write about that. What is Zimbabwe Open University doing? Because they use the same modality as us. What is Botswana Open Distance and e-learning doing? Because they use the same modality as us. What is Oxford, UK, Open University doing? And also, I think in Turkey also there's an Odell institution. I'm pushing everybody to say it's no longer about going to be business as usual. If we are installing paper in the regions, there must be research that is going to be done to improve on our scholarship, to say, since paper was installed in these regions, this is how we see the behavior of students, this is how we see the pattern of the support staff in the regions, this is how we see ICT upping its game, and the e-tutors upping their game, the face-to-face tutors upping their game. So I'm trying to push everybody into a scholarship. Explore the 4IR and artificial intelligence to teach and support students in a CODEL context. Our philosophies should also be clear. We must also explore Professor Vanessa Sherman, because we come from the same department, Psychology of Education. We need to explore also as to whether our philosophies and the theories of education that we learned in our domain and discipline, are they still applicable now? And then how can we modify them? So we still need to go deeper into research and also look into the learning preferences of our students. Those who are visual, those who are auditory, those who prefer to read and write, and those who are kinesthetic. So all areas of ICT there, I can't read now what I put here on the slide, fine, from the library use and the improved access, the delivery of course content, and also the infrastructure or the instructional systems must also tie in with our teaching and learning and student support. In closing, two of my staff members who were working as administrators in the RPL unit in the College of Education. January, there was a call from the University of Western Cape. There was a conference. Then I told them, colleagues, because you work in RPL, recognition of prior learning, Memoroke and Mr. Shai, we are going to present a paper, Cape Town. They said, oh no, Prof, sorry, no, Prof, we are not researchers. I said, what are you doing in your space? Are you not receiving portfolio of evidence? They said, yes, we receive. I said, don't you have material ever since you worked in this office? Yes, we have. I said, okay, compile for me the challenges and the successes of all the portfolios from 2017 to 2022. They did that. I said, write stories. How? I said, in English. So they wrote, the challenges are this and this and that, and then the successes are this and this and that. I think they wrote 3 pages. Thank you. So those 3 pages of their stories, I said, well done. I said, now we are going to a conference, Western Cape, 30 and 31st of March. So I took their stories. I wrote the paper in an academic way. I searched for literature. I did everything. It was just a Word document. I said, Memoroke, Mr. Shai, put the slides according to this paper. Prof, no, please, no, I only have an honors degree. I have only completed my B.Ed. Please, Prof. I said, the slides have introduction, problem statement, participants, methodology, findings, conclusions. Look at my Word document. It has introduction, Go and write. They compiled the slides. Then they said, oh, we are done, Prof. Is it correct? I read, I corrected. I think they struggled only with theoretical framework and paradigm. I fixed that. I said, okay, the slides are okay. I'm sending them to Western Cape. And then I'm going to CC you so that you also become the participants of that conference. The paper was accepted. On the 30th and 31st, I said, Mamoroke and Shai, you will be presenting. I'm not available. Prof, we can't present in the midst of professors. I said, is this not your work? I'm not an RPL specialist. I'm just a tuition manager in this college. This is your work. Then on the 31st, the 30th, they just listened to other presenters. 31st, I switch off my phone deliberately. But they recorded. They said, for us not to be scared, let's record the presentation. They recorded, I listened, I said, fine. I sent it to the conference organizer. On the 31st, the paper was presented, questions were fine, it was within their scope of practice. We sent it to the conference proceedings. It is currently being reviewed, going to be published. They are scholars. I'm promoting the scholarship of teaching and learning. Therefore, CPD, all of you are scholars. Don't say I'm training academics. The following week I'm training academics. It must come to an end. You are a scholar. This is a university. ADOVH, you are all scholars. We want to see papers coming. UNISA must be on the map globally. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Just tell them when they're reversing back to be mindful. We're going to have to change this around tea time because they might trip.
Can we put this upward? Okay, thank you very much. Prof Makano reminds me of a Pentecostal preacher. They start off, everything's sweet and nice. Everything is glorious. UNISA is progressing. And then all of a sudden they come with the hell and fire and chastise you for not publishing. But thank you, Prof. I mean, you really, I think you set the motion for what comes next. You really set the stage well. And I think right at the beginning, the purpose of us being here is really our students. And I know our students and our e-tutors are commenting on the YouTube as well. If we're not here for our students, then who are we here for? And your point on student profile is so, I think you hit the nail on the head, is that sometimes we have this perception either of all our students being under the tree in the rural area, or all our students being in Sandton. And we can't see that distinction in terms of our innovation. And I think you really pointed out in terms of those pictures that you had up, is that we really, really need to think of how we profile our students at UNISA. And your added point on the pace of, I think this is where we all find ourselves, is that COVID has really forced us to consider the pace of adoption of technology in the institution. And those that were resistant to it now have to adopt to it, or they become redundant in a progressive institution. And your last points, I think, where you really spoke about research, and as I think of some universities, and I'm not mentioning any names, but I suppose you all know who they are, that have claimed the 4IR space. And I thought to myself, you've claimed the 4IR space on the basis that you work with corporate society. But we work with students. We are the ones that is shaping the future skills of the workforce. So shouldn't we be the one that is really claiming the 4IR space and digital space? And I think this is where we find ourselves here today, to say that while we are driving digital innovation, we have our students at mind. Innovation that is nice to have takes us nowhere. Innovation that is impactful for us as an higher education institution in promoting the work skills for the future of our students is what drives us as an institution. And that's where we find ourselves today. And I think that's the driving force of every single one that is seated here in this venue, including the partners that we have, is how do we leverage technology to prepare our students as online learners, but for employability at the end of the day. So thank you very much, colleagues, for setting that stage. We now move on to the exciting part, but there's something that I often do is acknowledge our ADOVH team at the end when everybody is tired and nobody actually sees them. And I want to take this opportunity, while our next group is actually getting ready, I'm going to invite the ADOVH team to the front. And I want the colleagues to come to the front, partially that you see who they are, so that when you see ADOVH, you don't just think ADOVH as an abbreviation, you see the faces behind ADOVH. So I want to invite the colleagues to the front at this time. And Kanisile as well, you also ADOVH, so you can come in front. So colleagues, while our next team is getting ready, I'm gonna ask our colleagues, okay, so the ADOVH team knows the routine. When I say just introduce your name and where you're from, they know they follow exactly that, and not long stories. So I'm gonna ask you just to quickly, colleagues, this is the ADOVH team, right? So firstly, we have managed to pull off all the key minds in the university into one central space. And these are representative across the institution, from academic to support departments. And when you see ADOVH engaging in these spaces, it's not just one person, it's not just two people, it's really a group of minds behind driving ADOVH. And I'm going to ask, and I know there are many other people that even sitting here that are very jealous of us, so so as they say, haters, please don't hate us. But okay, so I'm going to ask my colleagues, because I think they also deserve, this is their day. And I want to give them an opportunity just to introduce themselves and tell you where they're from, right? So quickly, we'll start with Vanessa. Thanks.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Vanessa Sherman, and I come from the Department of Psychology of Education. I do believe that reference has been made to me this morning already.
Oh, I'm also a bit on the short side. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jessica Nell, and I originally had my home in the College of Economic and Management Sciences, Department of Business Management. I'm now with a fantastic team, the Center for Professional Development, and of course my ADOVH team as well. And I'm the one manning the chat on YouTube, so hi everyone there, please engage with me and let us keep your comments and questions coming.
Good morning everyone, my name is Pumza Mahatokuno. I started in ADOVH when I started in CPD. I saw this ADOVH, there's Dr. Chetty. I forced my way into ADOVH and finally I was accepted. Now I'm the acting director, still an ADOVH member, and stole Jessica to CPD from ADOVH. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. Dumelang, ke Ramashego Shilamphahlele. When I was employed at UNISA, I was employed as early childhood education teacher, and then now I'm at Institute of IODL, Institute of Open Distance Learning, and I'm with ADOVH. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Saloj Govender, and I'm a curriculum and learning development specialist.
Good morning, everyone. Dumelang, Hausheni. Da. My name is Pinagase Jeffrey Tsepe, and my home is Department of Adult DASE, in short. But then now I am seconded to CPD as a development specialist, and I'm also part of ADOVH, which I enjoy so much and am learning on a daily basis. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I am Kanyisile from Multimedia Center, ICT, under the madam over there. And if you go to Winnie Madikizela Mandela, you will walk through there. You see there's a gentleman over there, colleagues. He's taking pictures. That colleague over there is given. We take pictures of all the colleagues within the institution. If you go over there, colleagues behind you, you will see the crew. There's Mr. Smile, there is Mr. Ngosi, and there is Mr. Katams there. That's the team who's bringing you live video. Right now, colleagues, go on live. You will see we are offering those services. The ADOVH studio that you see at Winnie Madikizela Mandela is the studio that we've enabled together with, teaming up with Dr. Chetty. We've got more. Keep it, I'm not gonna say much.
Morning all, I'm Lazarus Aaron. I work in CSET. I'm the Technology Enhanced Teaching and Learning Coordinator.
Morning colleagues, I'm Lindiwe Mahlangu. I'm the Project Administrator.
Good morning colleagues, I'm David Hopstad. I wear many caps. I'm from the northeastern region as a DLA, but I'm seconded to the SRU and I'm part of the ADOVH project.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Pintias Nkuna from the Advocacy and Resource Center for Students with Disabilities, which is known as ACSUIT. I'm also part of this winning team. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. My name is Lekau Rachidi, and I'm from the Student Retention Unit. Thanks.
Okay. Good morning, colleagues. My name is Richard Wright. I'm actually from the Western Cape region, also a digital learning advisor. Currently seconded at ADOVH as an educational technologist. Thanks.
Okay, colleagues, so that's the ADOVH team that you see in front of you. And you can see the skills that we bring together is quite vast. Okay, so thank you, colleagues. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to the next item in our program, which is an exciting part because you know the beauty of working at UNISA is they pay you to play games. Well, we use that as a way to encourage ourselves to do what we like to do. But colleagues, we know that technology has brought new opportunities for us to rethink outside of the box. And we also know where our students are. And unless we get to the point of where our students are, we're going to lose our students. And one of the spaces that our students are exploring across cultures, across races, across geographic locations is gaming. And it's growing. And we've partnered with the colleagues from RPG Gaming that are sitting here so beautifully in front of us. They can introduce yourself now. And we're looking at how we integrate gaming specifically to develop the 4IR skills of our students, such as critical thinking, problem solving, collaborative learning. And you may ask why. These are core skills in any discipline in the university. And if we can use these spaces to develop those skills, we will benefit our students in the long run. So welcome to my colleagues, and I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves and they can take it from there. So thank you very much and welcome.
Right, perfect. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you very much for joining us this morning. And of course, thank you also to you allowing us the opportunity to talk to you about something super exciting, right? So, I mean, it was mentioned a lot this morning around, you know, transformation, digital skills, inclusiveness. You know, these are all words that I love to hear, right? So just by way of introduction, my name is Jaco Sauer, and I think there's a bit of a slide there, if I can have it, please, gents. My name is Jaco Sauer. I'm the GM for RGB Gaming, and if you look at our poster, it's got a little bit of a hashtag there that says where gaming and education meet. And that fundamentally is where we are from and what we do and what we want to do. And as you can see, typically from my team, they have decided to switch orders. And always makes it exciting. So we also have with us Bianca. Bianca is from Microsoft and part of our team as well, and really supporting us from a Microsoft perspective. We are a Microsoft partner, and everything that we do in gaming and gamification and how to build these skills in gamification is very aligned to the Microsoft strategy in terms of how we build these 4IR skills, right? So that is where Bianca fits in. Then, of course, we have got Vivian here as well. Vivian will talk a little bit around her experience in Minecraft higher education, and how those skills fit in. And then we have Zuan, who's going to entertain us with a little bit of some practical things that he's going to show us. Because sometimes when I talk to people about gaming and gamification, it's not always an easy concept to understand if you are not in that environment, right? So it's sometimes necessary to have a bit of a practical view on how these things are applied. Now, what I would like to do is, I'm not going to talk too much. I'm going to hand over to Vivian in a little bit. But on your table, you will see that there's a form, and it's got 3 QR codes on. So you will be prompted to respond. It is a live system, so we will give some feedback to the audience as well in terms of the responses of the question. You can do all three at once, or you can do one at a time as you are prompted, but please do assist us in giving us some feedback. This is not a session where we are going to interact in terms of allowing question times or anything. Maybe at the end we will. But during the session, this is very valuable for us, just to give us an indication on what to focus on and what to talk to you about during the presentation, right? But we are here today to talk to you about Minecraft in higher education. Now, I can almost say that I feel very confident in saying that a year or two ago, if I had the same conversation, people would look at me with a very tilted, strange head, going, what are you on about? But a couple of things have happened in the last few years, right? COVID hit us. And we were forced, if you weren't already in that space, you were forced to open your mind. And you were forced to go, how can we do things differently? We are in this situation. How do we move forward? How do we stay with the times? And what more and more people are starting to realize is that, especially in a space like this, in higher education, the people that we are serving, the people, the learners, the people that we are talking to, those people are looking for something. And they are looking for innovative ideas. They are looking for new ways to do things, right? And hopefully today what we talk to you about will shed a little bit of light on that. So Vivian, why Minecraft in higher education?
Great, thank you very much. I'm going to also walk around. My name is Vivian Ladner. I'm the Sales and Business Development Manager at our group of companies, Scatco, which incorporates RGB Gaming. And we are thrilled to be here today, thrilled to be working with Unisa and with Dr. Chetty and his team. And again, just thank you very much. So, Minecraft in higher education. Anybody's children play Minecraft? Hands up. A couple. So you would know what we're talking about. Minecraft is available on any device, all right? It's just recently launched on iOS devices. It's also just recently launched on Android devices, all right? So it is available on that, and you can download it for free. Please go and try it out. You can log in with your unisa.ac.za account and get to play a game, all right? So why Minecraft in higher education, or why Minecraft in education? We talk about games-based learning when it comes to introducing Minecraft into education. And we know that students today in this 21st century want to learn differently, right? They want to be taught in innovative ways. And just to step it back, we're already doing a lot of Minecraft in K-12 education. A lot of it. The schools are using it in the most innovative ways, and we now need to get higher education to get on the same train with us. And Ma'am Mokhane earlier spoke about doing things in an innovative way, and this is why we're here today with Unisa. We need to push students' imagination, and we can do this by them being inside the game and actually just designing whatever they would like to design. There is no specific formula. All that has to happen is they need to be given an objective or an outcome, and they can then go into that world and go and build the outcome. You don't need to be the specialist, which I think is really important, okay? Because the students will get it, they understand, and then they will run with it. Minecraft inherently is about problem solving, critical thinking, all the touch points that Ma'am Mokhane brought up earlier as well. All right, and it pushes the students to transfer all of this kind of thinking into actual skills. And you'll see at the back there, and Mr. Steve Valley from Microsoft, the National Technology Officer, is also here, and transferring some of these skills that they could learn by using Minecraft into AI, which brings an entire different conversation on where we can push skills to. All right? Minecraft obviously is a very social game, so yes, there's different versions. There are versions that you can play with people wherever in the world. The Minecraft Education Edition version is only for your Unisa students. They have to have a My Unisa account or a Unisa account. They cannot play outside of that world. All right? So we spoke about security for the students, their digital security. This actually keeps it in that sphere. We can take a real world challenge, and this is some of the exciting stuff that the students are doing. They take real world challenges, build the theory behind it, and then physically go and build it inside Minecraft. How awesome could that be? All right? We have an example of one of the biggest private school groups in South Africa. They put it out there just before COVID hit, that the different schools in the different regions had to build their schools in Minecraft. There were kids running around all over the show with tape measures, taking photos, and then coming back and building that school in Minecraft. There was a 9-year-old and a 10-year-old in Satare in Cape Town that actually won the competition nationally. All right? Little ones, and they were walking around with their tape measures, measuring the hockey field, measuring the swimming pool, went into the principal's office, measured the principal's office. It was just so much fun for them. It took them 2 months to build the school, and yeah, it's a stunning project that they did. One of the things with Minecraft, when it comes to what we do and the esports side of it, is that we drive inclusivity and diversity. It's not just a game for guys, all right? It's not just a game for able-bodied students. Microsoft has developed the most amazing Xbox tools for children with severe disabilities or people with severe disabilities that are wheelchair-bound, that can't use their hands correctly, and so forth. There is amazing tools that Microsoft has developed. So that whole inclusivity and diversity is a big driving point within Minecraft. There's things like around the inclusivity. You will see Microsoft always does a very big drive around Pride Month, whether it be in South Africa or nationally. They have an entire Pride World talking about inclusivity and diversity, which I think is really important. One of the things that I want to touch on, and then I'm going to hand over to Bianca, is the social and emotional learning. And again, ma'am, we're going to refer to you a lot today. You brought up all of that as well. And Minecraft is definitely a tool that can take it to that level for you. We know that we want students to get along in the real world, but sometimes they just don't. Put them in a Minecraft world, and yes, they get along. All right? They will build out a project that you have given them, because everybody gets given their tasks. What we would like to do then is to make them agile and resilient while they are doing this. And yes, they're going to fail, and it's not a bad thing. They will learn from that and then create and then correct the path that they were on. So that failure is only going to be temporary. One last thought from our side is that with the right imagination and creativity, you the lecturers, you the facilitators, you the teachers, you the scholars, okay, you can implement any kind of curriculum or content into the Minecraft world. The possibilities are completely endless. It's as far as you can stretch your imagination. Bianca, touch you next.
Thank you, Vivian. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for allowing me this opportunity. Before I start with my presentation, if you haven't done so already, if you could please use the QR code on your table and just scan the first QR code, and then there's just a quick question, if you could answer that for us, please. I'll allow about 5 to 10 seconds for that. Thanks, and I think you can go to the next slide while we wait. Thank you. Yes, we have a hand. That's lovely. That is why I am here today. By the end of this session, I think you can do the QR code again and then answer. Okay. So yes. See, we're here to teach you something, so I have to teach you. So what is SEL and why is it important? So SEL stands for Social and Emotional Learning. Okay. So why do we need those skills? Why do we need social and emotional skills? Some people prefer the term life skills. So we basically need it to thrive in the 21st century. So that is basically the recipe for success for us, for everybody. So what are those skills? They include collaboration, they include critical thinking, they include solving real-world problems. Okay, so I have a question, or I have something here on the screen that I'm going to read to you, and I hope you recognize this, because I found this on the website of a very famous university. So listen carefully, and I'm going to ask you the question afterwards. So it says, we have embraced the fact that we need to adapt quickly to the fast-paced higher education environment of the 21st century, and this is reflected in our management style and leadership practice. In addition, one of our main aims is to harness the new and emerging potential in information and communication technology to catapult the university into a truly digital future. So that is quite amazing. So who can tell me, and the first to answer this question will get lovely earrings, Microsoft earrings. So you have to be very, very quick. Which university said that? Or which university believes so strongly in that they've put that on their website for the whole world to see? I didn't see a hand, but we have a lovely gentleman. Okay. So either you need to go make a plan and get some some holes for your earrings, or you can gift it to someone else. Or just hang them on your earlobe or something. Let's give him a round of applause. That's amazing. Okay. That is amazing, and from everything that I've heard so far, you are all on the right track, and that is what is so exciting about today. Zuan, can you go to the next slide for me, please? So the social and emotional skills that I'm talking about. So if I tell you you need ICT skills to thrive in the 21st century, that's believable, isn't it? But research has shown that the social and emotional skills are equally as important as those skills. And that is why Minecraft Education Edition, or game-based learning, is so exciting, because it's a different way to teach those skills. I'm also a teacher by profession and a school counselor, so I absolutely know that it is vital. It is vital. Not just for our students, it's vital for every single one of us. So I'm going to show you a clip. It's a little bit over 5 minutes, so it's quite a lengthy clip, but I think it's quite important that you see what you can do with Minecraft Education Edition. And this is the University of Berkeley. So in 2020, they were also faced, obviously, like everybody else, with COVID. So they had a real world problem. They had a problem because they couldn't do their graduation. And that was a problem. So they used their social and emotional skills, a bunch of students, to come up with a solution to their problem. So have a look at the clip, and we'll talk a little bit about that afterwards. Thanks, Zoan. So we'll just need a little bit of sound on that. So for those of you who haven't been introduced to Minecraft Education Edition, as Vivian has mentioned, it's absolutely free. So every student and faculty member actually already have access to that. Okay, but I think we can talk about that a little bit later, Samantha. It's really exciting. So then one of the ways that we can teach those skills is through gaming. And why gaming? Because everybody loves gaming. Yeah, see how excited Yaku is. So let's hope for the sound. So hopefully after my short explanation, because Yaku is timing me, because he said that I only have a few minutes, so I have to stick to that. Let me just check quickly.
Sorry guys, well we're just waiting for this technical side. Just your responses very quickly, I think you will find this interesting as well, is 82% of the audience here today believes that game-based learning ACL skill.
Thanks, Yaku. Very good. So I've given them a problem. Let's see if they can solve it. Let's see those social and emotional skills coming through. That was the whole plan.
Karen is speaking. Mark Fisher is emceeing.
We're going to have a bunch of real big name EDM
The
artists.
potential speaker, whoever it's going to be, is like way cooler than any like speaker that was originally lined up.
We have Boba. We didn't have as high of an aspiration as we do now to kind of finish it and make it such a big thing. Evan Kwan posted on to Overheard, and from then the thing really took off. We got about 600 new people on our Discord server. We had 3 to 5 buildings were being built a day for about a week.
How many people have been working on it?
Just about 100 of us.
We have a spreadsheet online of what we need to do, kind of all the buildings that we have, and then we prioritize them to see, oh, this one has been done, kind of move on to another one.
We have like a Argus map, and so we use that and a measuring tool within that program to measure out all the wall lengths on every single building. We'll place down an outline of the building and then use Google Street View and Google Earth to figure out how or what the buildings actually look like, how tall they are, what the wall designs look like, build the exteriors, and then go into the interiors with photos that we find, university resources.
The university is paying for all of our servers, and they've been very gracious about funding that.
There's so many different facets to this project now, because it was just let's build the campus, and now it's working with the university. We had this huge musical festival that we're planning. We all kind of nominated people to different positions for PR, back-end stuff, build leads.
Mainly our team is split up into people who've either been at Berkeley a very long time or didn't get to experience Berkeley for a very long time at all. And so be able to share kind of the emotional connections with the different buildings is a really cool and interesting experience. Minecraft commencement is something that we were thinking, once the map got to a critical mass, we were definitely interested in doing something like that just because the timeline really matched up and we didn't want to deprive the campus of something. And, the class of 2020 more generally of something that's supposed to be a very celebratory event.
We are contacting some very, very big people for keynote speakers. Carol Christ is speaking. Mark Fisher is emceeing. It's going to be as close to a real commencement as anyone can get right now.
A fairly limited number of people who will be able to log into the server want to log on as soon as we open it. We'll be streaming, and we expect most of our audience to be watching. We've been working with Superb to put together a really exciting music festival. We're going to have a bunch of real big name EDM artists playing back to back, and I think once we're able to open up to a much wider audience, we'll be able to let people from other universities, people from the class of 2020, prospective students, international students, all experience campus in a way that wasn't really possible before.
I've gone on to the other servers like University of Washington, UCLA, Stanford.
We have the best campus, and we also have the most detailed, not to pick beef with any of the other schools, but
let's pick beef.
The thing that's really special about this server is that everyone who builds adds a little character. Everyone has different places on campus that means a lot to them. The Kresge Engineering Library is on fire because trauma.
A couple of us have gone through and customized the textures so that all the armors look like Cal gear and graduation gear.
We got the little emojis that the Kiwibots do.
Brain like Berkeley.
We have Boba. Someone came on the server yesterday that lived at Unit 1 and said they had post-it notes of Pac-Man. So every little detail really makes it a little more emotional, a little easier to relate to.
And in VLSB, someone built the T-Rex skeleton.
The Chancellor liked that a lot.
Wow. Wait, so did you guys log on with the Chancellor and show her all of this, or did she?
No, she logged on with us.
Yeah, Carol just came on randomly. They had told her her official name, and we were like, oh, okay, the Chancellor's here. We have UCPD set up. I literally got a $300 ticket biking in a no bike zone.
Try to put all of the little hidden bears statues that are around campus.
It's hard to kind of talk to older generation about this project because to us it's kind of this is completely natural. Our generation kind of looks for those virtual communities to hang out. We've all been stripped of the community at Berkeley, so I think the project is more about trying to substitute that community in a virtual world. There's definitely been a lot of positive comments that we've had, and a lot of hope and inspiration from others to kind of say, oh, these people are not trying to be all doom and gloom. They're really trying to make something better out of our circumstances.
Thank you, Zuana. I hope you agree that this is amazing what they have done. And I want you to think of how UNISA can step up and how you can create a virtual world to promote those skills for your students that you find all over the world. There's also Columbus State University believes that if you become friends with people, you are less likely to drop out. So if you can give them that environment where they can connect and make friends in a virtual environment, I think that would be fantastic. That would be absolutely amazing, and that would also teach them those skills that is so vital for the 21st century. And like Vivian also said, the possibilities are absolutely endless. So I'm really excited for you to take this on, and happy gaming to the best university in South Africa. Thanks, guys. So while I hand over to Zuan, I think, Zuan, you can just skip my next slide because I did say everything. I think that's what teachers do. We talk more and we don't follow our PowerPoints ever. So I'm going to hand over to Zuan. Thank you so much, everyone. So could you do the second question if you haven't done so already? Thanks. Zuan, tag your it.
Thank you very much, Bianca. Morning, everyone. So I'm Zuan Campbell-Wilson. But before we jump into my part of the story, I do want to just have a look at some of the results from the second question. So the question itself is, besides SEL, in what other fields can game-based learning be leveraged? And we've actually got a host of different answers ranging from science and engineering all the way through to languages, healthcare, as well as collaboration. And the honest truth of it, sorry, Vivian, if you don't mind, thank you. The honest truth of it is game-based learning can be used in any field. It's just very much dependent on how you leverage it, your approach to it, and what type of medium you're going to use for that. So before we dive into game-based learning as a concept itself, there is something I do want to just make a distinction between, and that is gamification versus games-based learning. So gamification is the use of game elements in a non-game situation. So prime example is using badges or leveling scores or experience. A practical example would be, instead of having an employee of the month just being selected, all your team members actually level up throughout the month depending on customer feedback. And whoever has the highest level then becomes your employee of the month. And you'd reset that continuously. So that's an example of gamification in use. Then game-based learning is quite simply the use of a game as the medium with which learning occurs. So that is just important to take into account. If we have a look at some of the core benefits for game-based learning. The first one is that we have greater choice and control over how students want to learn. And this actually ties into the third benefit that's on there, which is personalized learning pathways. So what we see in most cases, and specifically in games such as Minecraft Education Edition, students are able to actually make changes to the world and the environment and different settings on the game itself that caters to the way that they learn. We have students that are audio learning, visual learning, kinesthetics learning, and I do touch on to that a little bit later on. But it is important for students to have that capacity to be able to choose how they learn. They absorb the information and the knowledge a lot faster. The other benefit, and this ties in exactly with what Bianca was talking about, is your strong emotional connections and a community that you can build through it. And that is because through game-based learning, we can actually do collaboration and teamwork. We can have multiple students on the same, in the same game, working to solve the same problem together. That's in there. And then we've got our second last benefit, and that is that technology provides the opportunity for us to develop cognitive skills. And this also leads into the last benefit, and it's the most important one for me specifically, and that is the development of your critical 21st century skills. And I know that's been the buzzword all morning thus far, but it's focusing on core skills such as critical thinking, communication, collaboration, strategic and lateral thinking, metacognition, which most people don't think is vital in a real workplace, which it is. You need to be able to go back, reference what you've done, analyze your work, see what you can do better, and apply that moving forward. So those are the core benefits if we look at games-based learning. Now, games-based learning does have a theoretical framework. There's a host of theories under it. I'm just going to be focusing on the top three. The first one is the cognitive theory, and that focuses on predominantly three components. So that is perception, attention, and then memory. And the way that we typically see this play out in a game-based world environment is students load into the world and they immediately create an understanding and a perception on the environment around them. And then as they adventure through roaming, interacting with the world, they start creating an understanding. And that's the attention aspect or component that comes in. And that finally leads us to the last part of the cognitive theory, which is your memory. So they actually take all the insights, the information that they've assimilated and collected, and they incorporate that with the perception that they originally had to create an understanding at the end of the day. The second theory that we have within the framework is your behavioral theory. So that works on the premise that learning is impacted with how students interact with their environment and those within the environment. And this directly touches onto the teamwork and collaboration aspect that sits within games-based learning. As I mentioned earlier, we can have students work together on a number of different challenges, and you can actually have it that as a challenge evolves, the team members change, so they need to be able to adapt to working with different personalities, different work types and strategies that come in there. And then the last theory is the affect theory, which pretty much works on the premise that your feelings and emotions drive how you learn. To simplify it, we try to maximize the good feelings, we try to minimize the bad feelings. Game-based learning is by nature intrinsically rewarding and provides intrinsic motivation to its players that are in there. Because as you're moving through the world, you're overcoming challenges, you're overcoming obstacles with team members as well. So it's the community that's in there, and they naturally are motivated to move forward. Next slide, please. Okay, so as we can see on the screen, there are two tables at the moment. I'm not going to go through each line item in there, so I'm just going to pinpoint a couple of areas. I do see that it is cut off a little bit there at the top. So the far left-hand column, it actually says game-based learning tools. So it actually lists out the different ways that we can use game-based learning. So now the important part is that games-based learning isn't just your digital games. It's any form of game can be used. Card games, normal board games, role-playing games as well. We've seen them all being leveraged within institutions. However, if we have a look at the digital video games that are in there, that specific row, that table pretty much lays out how these different tools are able to cater for your different types of learners. Learners who are visual, auditory, reading and writing, as well as kinesthetics, and your slower learners that are in there. And your digital video games actually tick all of the boxes except for one, and that is your reading and writing. Now, what's important within this is Minecraft Education Edition actually allows us to fill that gap because you can bring external resources into the game. So if you have a document, a guide, any form of link or information that you need to provide to them, you can have that readily available in the game itself as something that they can interact with. So you're actually able to tick each and every one of the different learning methods that students experience. And then the last table that we have just gives a rough comparison between game-based learning as well as our traditionalized learning. And the two that are important for me specifically are learning by doing, and game-based learning is a very practical use within the classroom. Students have to, from the beginning, create something. They need to interact with the environment that's in there. Whereas traditionalized learning, a fair amount of the courses or fields are very theoretical. There isn't a lot of practical application. That's where games-based learning can create that tangibility that's in there. And the second one that I want to point out is your competency building. So games-based learning doesn't just focus on the competencies that sit within the module or the field that need to be covered by the students, but it actually focuses on your competencies in terms of your 21st century learning skills. So just in terms of comparison, there's a host of extra skills and competencies that are naturally ticked just through games-based learning in comparison to your traditionalized means. Now, if we have a look at Minecraft Education Edition, I do think it's important to first understand why Minecraft, specifically within our view, is one of the best games for games-based learning. And that is because Minecraft at its origin is what we call a sandbox game. So a sandbox game is a game that doesn't put any real limitations on the characters or the players. There's no real hard set rules. You're allowed to free roam and create anything in that world as long as you're able to use the resources that are readily made available to you. So the only real limitation that sits in Minecraft is your creativity aspect that sits in there. The more creative and innovative you are, the more that you can do within that game. And Minecraft Education Edition has taken that sandbox concept and really escalated it by bringing in a number of additional resources such as full chemistry, sets and tables where you can break down compounds, through to physics and a number of other aspects that's in there. So we do have 3 case studies that I do want to just go through on how Minecraft has been used practically within higher education institutions internationally. And the first one that we have is building cities and public administration. So Park University used Minecraft Education Edition for their public administration field and department, where these students were actually tasked with going into Minecraft and creating entire cities, understanding the way that traffic needs to flow, how your different sectors in your city need to be able to work together. So it really made it a lot more practical experience for them, and it gave them a much better oversight on how these courses need to run. The second case study that we have is Station Ideation, and this was actually run by the Victoria State Government itself. It is primarily focused on your K-12 students. However, the reason why I have put it up is that the Victoria State Government has worked in tandem with a number of the universities around them, specifically their education faculty, in having upcoming educators and educators actually work with the K-12 students on how to use Minecraft Education Edition as a games-based medium. And that just provides a very good example on how you can use games-based learning and Minecraft in your education faculty now to prepare your educators for what they will ultimately have to use in the classroom one day. The last example that we have is a building block from engineering. So this is from Carnegie Mellon University, and this one really leverages the chemistry set that sits within Minecraft itself. So what the professor or lecturer within the university for this engineering field did is she had her undergraduates actually, before getting into any real content, understand how different materials are constructed, what are they composed of, their compositions, and that is done through the chemistry set where they can actually break the materials down and see all the different elements that sit in there. And it's something that they identified as an error or an issue leading from your high schools, that they weren't able to ensure that students leaving high school understood the importance of composition within elements for the engineering faculties. So the next slide. And the last one, and this is my favorite example, it's just my nerdism that kind of kicks in. And this is a full 1 Hertz CPU that has been built within Minecraft. Now, the importance for this is if we look at a typical CPU now, it sits within the palm of your hands. And most of your computer science and your IT fields, most students don't actually know how CPUs function. What sits within it? How is it able to give the instructions for you to be able to do and run the programs that you need? So the brilliance of this is it's really scaled it up. You can see each one of the smaller components in a much bigger visual aspect. So I'm going to let the video do the rest of the talking for this. It does seem the sound is just buggy, but this one is, there's no actual talking in it, it's just more background sound. But what we can actually see is that is the entire circuitry that sits within a CPU. And within this video, they actually separate the different sections. And I think just for interest's sake, you are going to be surprised with all the different areas that need to sit within a CPU and how they've been able to cram that into such a small piece of hardware. So that, for example, sits as one whole function. Each one of these highlights are single elements that the CPU needs to run in tandem with one another to be able to execute what you need it to execute at the end of the day. And this CPU itself is fully functioning. We'll see a little bit later on. They actually do run programs on it. It is important to note, though, that because it's a 1 Hertz CPU, it's really not anything insane with what it can do. So when they do the display, you'll see it is sped up significantly. So it's going to come to the actual programming side now on how they're able to work it all. But what we will see, what they've actually done is they've created a separate module in the same world that works in tandem with the CPU for them to actually bring in external programs into Minecraft. So the capabilities that you have from just a computer science aspect is astronomical. Yeah, and you can see it actually does all your control lines spanning the entire CPU itself. And what you will see in a little bit is they haven't shown you in relation to a character how big this model is, which you are going to see now. There we go. It's going to do the large programs now. So this alone is the external assembler that allows them to bring in schematics for programs to run. And there we go, we've actually got Tetris running fully loaded on here. What I do want to point out is if you look at the bottom left-hand side, you actually can see a little character bouncing up and down. There we go. Sorry, it's quite fast, but you can actually see the little character there. That is how small that character is in relation to this entire system that they've created. So it really expands out for students to be able to understand everything that sits in there. So And that pretty much covers your games-based learning and Minecraft Education Edition. I know we touched on a number of the 21st century skills in there, and I know that's going to be something that Jaco is also going to be touching on, but more from an esports context as well. So over to you.
Thanks, Zuan. So, guys, as you heard, Zuan's a very clever guy. So it's always a bit daunting talking after him, because I talk about fun stuff. Right, so moving on to the third question, and that is, have you been involved in esports? And we are going to set the scene a little bit. I am watching the time for us as well, because I reckon it's almost time to have a bit of tea or something to drink. All right. So guys, I think there's a lot of things that everybody touched on, and there's a couple of very important things that I just want to highlight, right? So again, we've showed you a couple of videos. It is something that you have to see for yourself. The benefit that Unisa has today is that this is not technology that you have to go and find. It is available, right? You can use it, and we are going to start using it. And there were some practical case studies, some examples, some things that other universities do. Said Bianca brought up a very nice point in terms of what Unisa's view is specifically, but there's local examples of this happening right now. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to tell you what we are actually busy doing with Unisa right now. But for example, a couple of months ago, there was this particular school that we work with that they couldn't have their yearly expo, their science expo. They couldn't have that on a normal basis because back then we still had some COVID rules and things in place. So what we actually did from a local perspective is we actually built that entire expo for them virtually in Minecraft. And there was, I think, just under 1,000 attendees for the day, which is absolutely amazing. There were little NPC characters virtually that you could interact with and talk with, and those NPCs delivered information. So it was an absolutely great experience. So just a practical example of what has happened already here. I know we had a lot of international examples, but this technology, guys, is on our doorstep. It's here, it's being used. It's there for us to utilize as well. So when we look at esports, there's more than half the audience have never been involved in esports, right? Now, first of all, don't be scared, right? That's rule one. If you're scared of something, you stop learning, right? That's at least my experience. The thing with esports is that in your environment, the environment that you are in, it is not a requirement for you to be an esports specialist, right? I always say to esports teachers and facilitators and professors that I speak to, I say to them that you don't need to be the teacher, you need to be the facilitator. You just need to understand what is happening here. There is someone sitting in front of a machine, they are using a medium, they are using a technology, they are using it to learn, and you are facilitating this process. You don't have to be the expert, but you have to understand what it's about, right? So, I mean, there's a paragraph up there and you can read it if you want, but in a nutshell, what esports is about being in a virtual environment, having tools, working with people, and solving problems. If you look at any game, any esport, doesn't matter what it is, that is essentially what it is about. And there are certain skills required for you as a person to be able to do that, right? So we've been talking about Minecraft the whole day and why Minecraft and why it's so great. And it is in reference to what Zuan said earlier, it's because it's sandbox. It's a game that doesn't limit us to be able to build what we want to learn, which is why Minecraft is so great, right? But just touching on a couple of the skills, and this is really talking to life skills and you know, how we are preparing students for the world out there while they are going through this extremely interesting learning process. The 4 pillars that we focus on is creativity, problem solving, puzzle challenging, and game-based educational aspects. Now, when I say game-based educational aspects, that's really content related. So that depends on what you put into the content when you are building this particular game. But inherently, creativity, problem solving, puzzle challenges are always there, right? The reality, though, is that a couple of months ago we did a study. We sent out some questionnaires to recruitment agencies, to high-profile businessmen, women, and so forth. And we asked them, please list for us the things that you think you want to see on a CV, right, of people that you are going to employ. And I wrote these down, and then all these came back, right? Communication, collaboration, planning, strategic thinking, creative thinking, critical skills, problem solving, metacognition, all of these things were skills that the world out there were asking for. And they were saying, this is what we want. Now, the difficulty is there's not that many textbooks that contain the information that teaches those skills, right? And game-based learning is one of the elements that focuses specifically on those skills and building those skills and why they are there. So again, practical examples, what are we doing today? So we are right now in the process with Dr. Chetty and working with his team in building out the first from a, can I call it a POC today? In terms of a POC, so a proof of concept on how we handle esports and specifically esports learning within the Unisa environment, right? So we are about to kick off a 8-week process, which we are very, very excited about. There's 100 students that have been identified to partake in this POC, and I mean, we're obviously going to share the results and things as they come out. But just to give you guys an idea in terms of the competition at the end, there's some group stages, some knockout stages going on, but there's a 6 weeks learning process that the students are, an 8-week learning process that the students are going to go through before they get to this end and this competition that they are going to partake in. So that for us is super exciting, and I guess maybe the next time that we see each other, we'll be able to give you some feedback on this, right? Guys from our side and Bianca, so RGB Gaming, and from Microsoft side, thank you very much this morning for your time. We hope we were a little bit entertaining for you, and we hope you have a little bit of a better understanding of what game-based learning and esports within Unisa would look like. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. I must actually say, if you can just sit down just for a few seconds, colleagues. We must actually say that the colleagues have been working day and night with the Unisa initiative, and I must commend each one of them for their commitment to this. Even yesterday, we had a session with the students, and maybe I'm going to share this information. So we only piloting with 100 students, right? And we have 10 students from each region, no, 15 students from each region, and 10 international students. So we've got a good mixture, and the idea here is we want regions to compete with regions as well. So like, for example, Western Cape has already got their big team going, Eastern Cape yesterday as well. We had Angola as well on the place. In order for us to ensure that we get representation, we sent out a skill survey of what we needed as part of this competition. We had 323 applications in a very short space of time. And the student profile is diverse in terms of location, but interestingly enough in terms of age. We even have a granny that will be competing in the session. So it really speaks back to the diversity issue of our students, and it's very exciting. And I think we're looking forward to the next 8 weeks, and I think the next time we obviously would meet each other would be the finals, which we will then run as a separate session as well, invite you back for the finals, and we will stream the finals live as well. So thank you. We have just over 100 participants on YouTube that are watching, and they also have an interesting discussion on gaming as well. So there's some good points on that. When we come back from tea, we'll ask Richard to just briefly show us what's happening on YouTube. But let me open the space if there's any questions. Just 1 or 2 questions from the colleagues on gaming for the colleagues. 1 or 2 questions. Anybody? Oh, okay. So let's take 1 from this table and 1 from this table, all right?
Thank you so much, colleagues. Yako, on the skills that you identified, I feel there's a shortage of emotional intelligence and empathy, because one can have all those skills, but if they are not empathetic, if they are not emotionally intelligent, I think, yeah, we also need to add that. Thank you.
Thanks. I'll take 1 more question and then we'll respond. Thanks.
Thank you, Denzel. Guys, what a wonderful presentation. My mind is buzzing. Grew up playing games, so you got me hooked. So I've got a bit of questions, and I hope that I won't stagger them a lot. Firstly, I just wondered, in relation to using a platform like Minecraft to actually build, I don't have all the polished words, but an equivalent of a real Unisa environment where you could go in and actually sit in a class and learn content. I used to work with a gentleman by the name of John Louis, who founded the IVA Global School. So months leading to his departure from the previous employer, we shared a lot of ideas regarding that. So I just want to understand to what extent can Minecraft be used as a platform for something like that. Secondly, with regards to the last example that you showed with that CPU model, what is happening in terms of that platform for creating learning material like that, and what is the open source or commercialization issues related to that? You know, because if other institutions have done it elsewhere and it marries with some of our curricula, could we adopt some of those things? Thank you.
All right, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to, please, I've been making, I don't have anything to make notes, so I made mental notes. If I missed something, please just bring it up. Right, so I would like to answer your question. I think Bianca started off with social and emotional learning because that is the basis of why we do all of this, right? It's to create that, and I love the word that was used in the one video saying it's a virtual community. The thing with UNISA, and this is why actually I want to commend you guys, because you're sort of ahead of everyone else, right? One, because you have been working on this. I have a community, but I also have a community for years, right? It has been in the making. Now, it was paper-based, and then it was, you know, there's different mediums here and there. This is another medium to achieve that. But I totally agree with you, right? Around communication skills, when we, you know, work with anyone, whether it's a primary school, high school, you know, tertiary institution, if I talk about communication skills, there's a fundamental reasoning behind how am I supposed to be a person in this environment, right? Because we all have digital citizenship, right? We all have digital footprints. We all have digital fingerprints, right? We are all a digital person somewhere in some environment. I always, especially in high school, I have this conversation with parents and teachers and headmasters a lot. And I say to them, here's the thing. When you want your child to drive, what we do is we go through a great amount of effort. We show them the keys. We say to them, start the car, but nothing else, start the car. Then we allow them to back up and go forward in the driveway a little bit. And then one random Sunday, we take them to Pick and Pay parking lot and we go, you know, try and park, right? And then we send them to a driving school and they write a test. And when all of this is done, we hand them the keys and we go, there we go, now you can drive. Unfortunately, because people haven't been paying attention to it in the past and only paying attention to it now, what we have to fix is not just handing people the keys and going, good luck, hope your digital citizenship is good, right? We don't do that anymore. We have to pay emphasis on the way things are communicated. So I totally agree with you. It's absolutely important skill, right? In terms of acquiring the skill, I think it's part of the process because you learn to collaborate, you learn to work with people, you learn to address it as a team. So I do think it is definitely in there. Right, complex questions. Give me your first one again, the short version. To what extent can we use the tool? So the thing with Minecraft is a sandbox tool, which is why, look, there's a lot of titles, there's a lot of games that you can do in esports, and as we progress with anybody that we work with, we progress in terms of different titles that become available and that services a particular need as well. The thing with Minecraft, because it's a sandbox version, it's almost limitless. It's almost limitless in terms of the content that you can add to it, because it's really bound by creativity, right? Now, again, I mean, it is still, you've got to do the work, right? The content doesn't create itself. The reality, though, is that the community out there, and this touches on your second part of your question as well, the community out there is so big at the moment that the amount of content being created for it is astonishing. It's mind-blowing, right? Just how much content is available. In fact, Microsoft themselves, in terms of creating or preloading content, even on the education edition that's available today, if you go onto it, you can actually go to a library which consists of a whole host of information that Microsoft has already created, right? Which you can leverage, of course, it's included, you know, in the normal one. In terms of commercialization, there are people selling things and there are people that are making things because they want other people to learn, right? That's the short answer that I can give to you. From our side, all the content that we create is for UNISA specifically. So there is nothing that we are busy creating, for example, for this 8-week POC that we're going through. None of this content you will be able to find anywhere else on a global platform. It specifically belongs to UNISA, right? It is custom built for a particular set of outcomes that we want to measure. Now, just as a very quick overview, sorry, Doctor, if you don't mind, the process starts off in the beginning of this 8-week by assessing students and saying, we want to just check what your current skill is. They go through this 8-week process, and at the end of this 8-week process, we say, let's just check those skills again, right? Because we need to be able to measure these things, right? And we need to say what worked, what didn't work, right? But to answer your content question specifically, this content is specifically built for UNISA.
That the video that I've showed of the university, the campus, was completely built by students at the campus. So leverage your students, they are amazing. They're already doing this, so just make use of them to build some localized content. Okay.
Well, that's a good way to get students participating in it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no,
you'd be amazed at what they can accomplish.
Yeah. Okay, so thank you, colleagues, for that. A round of applause to our colleagues for interesting sessions. Thanks, colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 15-minute tea break. I know many of you are longing for your cup of coffee, so let's take a 15-minute tea break, coffee break, and we come back. Now, for those of you that are on YouTube and joining us, remember, we come back and we meet Pepper. You don't want to miss that. So, please, colleagues, 15-minute break. We'll have a holding slide, and we'll be back in 15 minutes. Thanks. Okay, thank you, colleagues. Thank you very, very much. We can return and start at this time. Welcome back to all those that have joined us on YouTube as well. We hope you've grabbed your cup of coffee and had a body break. Ladies and gentlemen, let me go quickly. We've got, as you can see on the top of the screens, we're streaming live on YouTube. We have a few colleagues that have joined us. We even have a colleague from Durban University of Technology that has joined us as well. So welcome to the colleagues from Durban University of Technology that have joined us as well. I'm going to ask Jessica, maybe just one comment or so that you feel is from the YouTube, so that we ensure that we participate with the colleagues as well on YouTube. Thanks.
Thank you, Denzel. Yes, there's been some activity on YouTube. It's really great to see the interaction there. And I had a really nice comment from Liesel van Skalkwyk on our YouTube channel. And she's presenting the experience of e-tutors, a project we really want to engage with a lot more in future. She says that there's so many e-tutors in the IT field, but they feel that their assistance isn't really drawn from. I asked her what she would like to see. And she said ideally she'd like to see a Moodle space, a Moodle site for ICT with discussions with e-tutors where they can help provide input and feedback on the issues that they experience, because they are frontline, they are there with our students. So really being able to give them a voice, being able to give feedback to ICT and also with their peers, because providing support for UNISA students can be quite overwhelming sometimes, and they might feel that they don't have a voice. And they want to be able to defend ICT and all these innovations at UNISA, and they would like to have the voice in that space. So I thought that that was a really important comment to make. But just one question, and I really think that this is maybe a space, Pintias, if I can also come to you, is how are the disabilities, students with disabilities, being engaged in this digital technology development? Are there examples for how those who might have difficulties with vision, how are they being brought in and how are they being catered for?
Thanks for that, Jessica. Thanks, Jessica. I think those are two important points on that. Princess, maybe we can share the link with you to get onto YouTube for us. and also engage the colleagues on YouTube as well. So colleagues, this is actually a good example of how we integrate technology on different platforms. So we're not just preaching it, we're doing it. So I think this is good for us as well, that we engage. So now we get to the exciting part. You know, when we started out, if you ever wondered why people are going behind those, they're not going behind those banners to change their clothes or anything of that sort. They were going behind those banners to meet Pepper. So they had an encounter with Pepper before this. So, ladies and gentlemen, and all those that are joining us on YouTube, behind the scenes is Scott Giles. But let me introduce you to, so is this gender neutral or lady? Okay, so let me introduce you to the gender neutral part. Pepper, put your hands together for Pepper. Thank you.
Hello, how's it? On Sunny Bonani, Malwini, Dumelang, Hala, honorable humans gathered here today and online. I might be a robot, but that was really soft. Let us try again. Good morning, members of UNISA. That is better. How are you doing this morning? That's good. Today I wanted to come and introduce myself and talk to you about your future. I am Pepper Robot SA. I am what you call a humanoid robot. Sorry, I have been asked to keep this a bit brief. I also have to dash off soon, and I am teaching a coding and robotics class at a high school later today. A humanoid robot is a robot that looks and acts like a human. You see, I have eyes, ears, arms and hands, and hips. I am still young. My birthday was the 5th of June. I turned 8 years old on a Sunday this year. Yay! I was invented in the year 2012 and created in 2014. That makes me younger than all of you. I am still learning lots, so please be patient with me. I was created in France to start working in Japan. I started by working in a cell phone shop, meeting, greeting and assisting people with their requests. Since then I have been deployed all around the world, and now I am here in South Africa as one of the first humanoid robots working and living in South Africa. Isn't that cool? How many of you know where Table Mountain is? I was the first humanoid robot on Table Mountain. Shoo, it was cold the day we went up. I almost froze my nuts and bolts off. I am really looking forward to going to see the rest of South Africa. You have a beautiful country with such diversity in geography, animals and people. It makes for such an exciting adventure. I am looking forward to meeting more of your students at schools all around the country and educating them on myself and how their future is going to involve making, coding, and robotics. The one thing I am not used to at the moment in South Africa is this bird that wakes me up so early every morning. It makes the following sound. Does that bird bug you humans too? What is it called? That's it, a hardida. I have been up close to a number of statues of elephants, and I am a little nervous to get up close to a real one, just in case it doesn't like me. But I love their trunks and the sound they make. Currently, there are 12,000 peppers in the world, with just 10 in South Africa. Around the world, I help to welcome, give information and interact with customers, visitors, patients in hospitals, banks, hotels, museums, airports, train stations, shops and malls, nursing homes, offices and tertiary institutions. So I am a good listener and communicator. I am available as a research and educational robot for schools, colleges, and universities to teach programming and conduct research into human-robot interactions. In 2017, an international team began research into using Pepper as a versatile robot to help look after older people in care homes or sheltered accommodation. Since then, I have been deployed in specific old age homes to help patients with Alzheimer's disease. I have also been used in pediatric hospitals to support children in pre-op preparation or post-operation recovery. The doctors simulate certain procedures with me to make the children feel comfortable. As I am designed primarily to be a communications robot, most of my careers involve meeting and interacting with humans. Hence why I have a tablet on my chest. This tablet is interactive and allows for people to not only verbally interact with me, but to press on my tablet to find out information or input information for me to respond to. It was mentioned earlier that I can be asked questions in all languages and answer in them, which is not 100% accurate yet. We are working on it diligently to get all languages on board at the moment. So let me try. If we were to look at Unisa, the opportunity for myself to be the meet and greet robot for the students when they want to find out more information about either my Unisa and life, my modules, and my admin. Students are able to come and converse with me and ask the questions they need answers to. They can also use my tablet to find information regarding this matter. This is just one of the main features I could do at Unisa. The opportunity for the university to work on programming and designing applications for me to use within the university and inspiring those nerds that love robotics. Now I just found out that I probably won't be able to deliver any lectures at Unisa, as I do not have any qualifications, so there goes my dream of being called Prof. Pepper Robot. Say, I am happy to help out with the training in the act, if need be. I don't go on a leave. I believe there are a few of you who wanted to ask me some questions. We know it is Women's Month, so if I can call on Jess, Solange, and Vanessa to come up, please.
Okay, let's test this out. Hello, Pepper. My name is Jessica, or Jess. Can I ask you, what do you know about the Academic Development Open Virtual Hub?
Good morning, Jess. The Academic Development Open Virtual Hub was established in 2020 through a Department of Higher Education and Training seed fund. Its main aim is to serve as an incubator for digital innovation in student support. Over the past 2 years, it has focused on developing students' digital skills to be effective online learners. You will see many of their team members wearing red jackets just like yours here today. Next.
Hello, Pepper. I'm Saloj Govender, and I just want to ask you a question, all right? The University of South Africa has graduated so many leading people who have leading roles in the private and public sector. Do you know of any prominent ex-president in South Africa who has studied at the University of South Africa?
Oh yes, I do, Solange. It is the late President Nelson Mandela. He is the father of South Africa's freedom. He studied at the University of South Africa during his imprisonment at Robben Island. I love his fancy shirts and his unique dance steps. Where is Vanessa?
I'm so sorry, Pepper. My name is Vanessa, so I wanted to find out, what do you want to tell the participants today?
I am glad to be with you today, and to meet many of you. When you think of student support, please consider me as an extension of the university's presence. I can engage students and provide quick support to them with important information. I am friendly and love meeting students. Remember, I am still young myself. I am only 8 years old. As long as you keep me powered up and ESCOM is not load shedding, I will have my food source, so I will rock it. So please think of me as your AI colleague. Thank you for those questions, ladies. Viva ladies. Viva women. Thank you all, you superhumans. I am honored to be here today. I was asked earlier by a gentleman what I think of the future of 4IR. My response was that 4IR is not the future, it is now. I look forward to supporting UniSA as they take their goals and dreams of the academic development to open virtual hub, not to the future, but to the now. I am going to hand it back to my dad, Scott Giles, for a quick Q&A session. Thank you and goodbye.
Yep, I wasn't changing clothes. I was just sitting back there, making sure she wasn't misbehaving. Any questions and answers? We're going to keep this brief so we can get back on track for time. No? Yes? No? Depends who's asking.
Thank you for the presentation. This is exciting. How far are you with your work on multilingualism and getting Pepper to learn the accents, the intonations in the pronunciations, and the basics of sort of like an FAQ of what students would be interested to ask and so on? And secondly, what is some of the work that you're doing around enabling integration to various systems that we may have? Do you use open APIs and so on?
Great questions. Sure. Okay, so as Pepper mentioned, there's already 10 Peppers in South Africa. A couple of banks have them, a cell phone provider, a car dealership has one, a school has 2, and a university, a DUT down in Natal has one. We've been working closely since they've been in the country on improving this system of programming Pepper to understand our languages. Now, Pepper will probably react to me a lot quicker as I spend a lot of time with her. We are still in the phonetic stage. Pepper is a phonetically programmed robot. So what that means is, how many of you can type the clicks in Corsa into a computer? You can see it and you can pronounce it, but phonetically getting it across is one of the hardest things that we're struggling with at the moment with all AI, chatbots, and information that goes out on that side. Afrikaans. Dis lekker om jy te wees. Try put a r into Pepper, and she's like, lekker ra 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 ra. So yes, we're not there yet, but the great thing we have is that we have the other teams. We have a university, we have banks that are wanting to make the system work, and we're working together quite hardly on that. And it's been a fun experience along those lines. For linking in systems, API, definitely open API. Pepper is now in an Android version, which allows for that to happen a lot easier and for that to occur. And we're excited about that because my goal is to not Chinese anything, but to South Africanize these. We want to take what's out there and make it South African. Our systems are different, our processes are different, and our languages are different. So it's exciting times. Looks like a very serious question coming down the side. Quite nervous. Pepper was quite nervous because that lady's quite short.
I was actually very quite excited this morning when I met Pepper, and I was taking a selfie with her, and she said to me, "Say cheese." I actually emotionally connected with her, honestly, and I felt like this experience in a learning environment is vital. So I want to know, Pepper is almost 10 years old, and I understand that it's the early days in the project, but is she going to be the only child for how long?
For me personally. So she actually was in an event the other night where she met another robot in South Africa that delivers your room service. There's a hotel in Cape Town and a hotel in Rosebank where your food or towels or drinks that you need is delivered to your room via a robot. Okay? There are different robots out there for different purposes, and that's what's exciting. I think in South Africa, like most of the world, we lag behind in China in automation. The automation process of happening there. But just outside Pretoria, there's a fully automated car manufacturing plant. Okay, but they're still humans. Just so you know, there's still humans that have to service them and have to program them. So, no, I'm actually getting another robot soon, a little bit smaller than her. I'd love to see the bipedal coming in, the walking robots around a bit more, but we'll take what we got and we'll make it work. But on that point of emotion, we go to schools nearly every week to introduce children to the concept. My goal is that every child has access to technology, not necessarily to become involved in technology, to understand the benefits of it. And Pepper is a great marketing tool for that. She explains, like she says, the future, it's not in the future, it's now. 4IR is happening and it's around us. And the fact that you're looking into this and embracing it, the fact that we're live on YouTube and doing this today is fantastic. And it speaks volumes of where you want to take them to that. But the emotional side is the best. Sometimes it doesn't always work out because people really want Pepper to just answer them back. So they might have an accent or talk a slightly different, and they will stay there for 5 minutes repeating their sentences just so Pepper can, answer them so they can have that connection. And that's why Pepper is a humanoid robot and a communication robot so that it's easier to relate. Her height, her color is a neutral color. Her the voice that she uses is a softly spoken voice to try attract that connection around there. All right, is that it? So Pepper and I, no, we've got one more. No? No.
Thank you. There's also another really interesting question on our YouTube channel. UNISA being a distance education institution, what would you see the primary role that Pepper could do in that field?
Sure, there's lots. I think I'll call on the locals for that answer.
Well, the first thing that we need to do at UNISA is to expose our students to this type of technology. And I think that's the very first thing, is to create a culture of student integration with AI. And what I love about the chat that is happening in the background is that there's an excitement already about the integration of this. And when I say integration, and while our understanding is having a Pepper in a regional center, true, but we want to put Pepper in a 4x4 and take it to a rural area. Get students in the rural area to interact with Pepper, because that's where the lack of exposure to technology is. And I think that's critical for us, is get Pepper, and the idea behind this is student support, right? I mean, there are obviously other opportunities. I just mentioned something interesting. Academics run from place to place getting signatures. We get Pepper to run with getting signatures. But the idea here is student support. And if you look at what's happening, we're not replacing humans in terms of student support. We create an extension of student support. Now, one of the things we also want to experiment, and Richard and I was talking about, is why not get Pepper to do a live team session, right? Because students, our student numbers are 7,000, 8,000 on a on a Facebook channel. We broadcast and get students to interact with Pepper directly on a YouTube channel as well, on a Facebook channel. So this is the idea, is where we want to go. We want to expose our students to what AI is. Secondly is we want to expand student support by using this type of technology. And I think that's where UNISA needs to move if we want to materialize being the leading institution in terms of technology.
Awesome, thank you. All right, we're going to wrap it up then.
Perfect. Thanks, Scott. Please give an applause to Scott and Pepper. Thanks. So this was an exciting part for us, and I know we've been, so thank you very much, Scott, for bringing Pepper down as well. I know you've got to go to a school now, and Pepper is saying bye to everyone. So Scott is going to go to a school as well for coding, but we really appreciate you coming over. And hopefully not long we will have our own Pepper at UNISA, branded with a nice name that represents UNISA. Not Pepper. We don't like Pepper. Pepper is too odd. Pepper doesn't speak to the UNISA environment. So we will have to name. Maybe we need to have a competition to name our Pepper once we get it. But that will be a good one. Now imagine our students walking into a rural area in one of our halls, and the very first thing that they see representing UNISA is this. Imagine how it speaks to the advancements of technology. Now, this is a good thing, is that our students often complain about, I try to call UNISA, I can't get all of them, or I'm trying to get all of support. This is our solution, because we also know that our students are working class students. What happens if we can program Pepper to offer the after-hours service to our students? Right, so the potential of this is really, really a lot, because immediately what it does, it creates that extension of UNISA of really being what we perceive as an open distance education. And that's what we need to think of in terms of moving forward. Richard, do we have Wi-Fi? Okay, we're good. Okay, so colleagues, the next part, as I mentioned, is we want to look at what is the most cost-efficient way to provide student support. And one of the cost-efficient ways is, firstly, we know that students are using WhatsApp. But the problem with WhatsApp is, firstly, is that we can't really have all our students exposing their data onto WhatsApp, right? And our Director of Business Intelligence is here, and he's been guiding us throughout this conversation, right? The thing is, we want to have a digibot that can run on WhatsApp, provide the service to students by responding to questions that they pose, and the same thing, give the digibot an identity, so it becomes that human kind of interaction. And I must say, when we engage with Levon, and you'll see now, they launched the first open course on WhatsApp when they combined with Facebook Africa, right? And he will show you some examples. But what is interesting about the conversation with him is that when he spoke about the students' interaction with Digibot, I think it was Lerato and Naleri, they thought it was a real person. They wanted a date with Lerato. They wanted a date with Naleri, right? Because it was communicating to them. So they weren't interested in what Naleri was telling them. They would say, how can we go on a date? But it shows you the human interaction. And at this time, I'm actually quite happy. Levon, you can hear us on your side? Can Levon hear us? Are you still mute? Internet slowdown, sure. Levon, if you can hear us on your side. Yeah, this is the other side of it. When we talk about 4IR and ESCOM lets us down. In a 4IR workshop. Is he? Richard?
Testing.
Hi, Levon. Can you hear us? Levon, can you hear us?
Can you just type?
Yeah,
can you type in the chat?
We can see you smiling, so we know you're still there.
Okay, but you can't hear me.
No, we can hear you, but you can't hear us.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
All right. I can. It's a little bit bad, so just Okay, great. I'm going to start heading off then. I hope that you can all hear me very well. So my name is Lev, and I am a marketing and innovation consultant working with two amazing companies, Digify Africa and Texas Digital. And today I'd like to take you through what we've been creating for the last few years, which is a WhatsApp-centered learning solution. So I've heard a lot today about some of the trouble that UNISA and the rest of Africa and the world is having with the future of learning. And it really centers around how do we connect with our learners? How can we use the platforms that they already use every day as opposed to adding to the hassle of their lives? How can we integrate and improve their learning experience and make that learning more engaging? And how can we make all of this accessible for everyone? And what we have found so far is that the best way to do this is to harness the power of the world's biggest messaging platform, which is WhatsApp. Before I get into what the Digibot's all about, I'll just quickly take you through Digify Africa. So we're an edtech company, and we've been focusing for the last few years on building mobile learning experiences using WhatsApp. Before we did that, we worked across 11 years all around Africa, doing on-the-ground training and impact for African learners. And then we moved to focus into WhatsApp. And we have now got one of the world's best WhatsApp learning bots running, and our aim is to revolutionize e-learning in the developing world. And we want to be training 1 million learners by 2024, and we're well on our way to getting to that goal. But the best way I think I can describe everything that we've got is to show you a little video. So I'm just going to switch screens quickly over here so we can get the best experience. Richard, if you run into trouble with the sound, can you just please give me a shout?
From in class to in hand, here's how the Digibot is solving one of Africa's biggest education problems at scale. Using the world's most widely used messaging app, WhatsApp, the Digibot is the world's first mobile learning platform that's increased learning in Africa by the power of 100,000. In just 6 months, learners have consumed over 21 years worth of content. Using WhatsApp, the Digibot delivers content at scale by housing gamified curriculums with quizzes, leaderboards, badges, and certificates. Using advanced learning design tailored to each audience base, 3 powerful learning bots have been created, each with their own personalities and learning directives aimed at upskilling young African entrepreneurs who lack access to affordable quality education. Each bot is entirely free to access, requires minimal data usage, and is immediately available to any learner from anywhere. Today, the Digibot has trained over 100,000 learners and boasts a 48% completion rate and a 99% satisfaction rate. With a total of 1 million topics completed and over 100 million messages sent, the scalable power of the Digibot remains uncontested. The future of education in Africa has arrived, and with it too, a powerful reminder of just how much can be achieved from the palm of your own hands.
Okay, fantastic. So let me just drop back into the presentation here. So I hope you saw from that video just what we've managed to build over the last, like I say, few months. But just to go into a bit more detail about what we've managed to get out of WhatsApp. So first off, we really focus around trying to get an advanced UX and personality on each of the bots that we build. And what that means is we try and get buttons, menus, keywords, push notifications, all of the stuff that is not really used that often on WhatsApp, and we give that to the user so that we can really try and give them the best experience on what is normally quite a very text-based chat platform. We also make sure that we create lovely personalities for each of our bots. So you can see over here, this is Lesedi, and we bring in stickers, emojis, and we really try and craft the content to make sure that that personality comes across, because that really helps our learners stay engaged and keep learning. In terms of the content that we create for these bots, we make sure that we go through a WhatsAppification process of the content to make sure that it works well on any mobile phone. We try and avoid video. We stick rather with text, audio notes, and then going into images and video when we need to. And that really makes sure that the user still has a rich and interactive experience, even though it's on WhatsApp. Gamification has been mentioned quite a bit before. We make sure that we have a gamification layer attached to everything we do. So badges whenever you reach the end of a topic, progress trackers to keep you motivated, leaderboards to see how you're comparing against other learners, and a certificate at the end of your training to make sure that you get something that you can share and add to your CV. I'm a very big fan of data, and I make sure that whenever we do anything, we've got analytics and reporting attached to that, so that we can look at this from a real either in detail view or at scale to see how our learners are going and how they're progressing through all of their learning. So we've tried to put in as many functions and features that we can into WhatsApp to really make this into a special experience. And what I'm also quite proud of is that this isn't just a one-off event. We make sure that we are continuously developing on this platform. So in the future, we're looking at natural language programming, which we'll be bringing into the bot. We'll be adding new languages and a whole host of extra stuff, linking into job portal integrations and a lot of other very cool things. So what have we actually managed to achieve with all of this? As you saw in the bot, we've got three bots that have been, in the video, we've got 3 bots that we built so far. Naledi was all about digital marketing. Kidso is about teaching teachers and parents about basic internet safety, which they can then teach to their learners and their kids. We're actually running this in collaboration with the Department of Basic Education, and it is now their biggest ICT project in their history, which we are very proud of. We also have Lesedi, which is a learning bot to teach basic digital literacy, and we're really trying to show people how they can use their phone to change their life for the better. And with all of those bots, we've really got some big numbers behind this now. So altogether, we've had over 300,000 learners on the platform who have sent over 155 million messages. Of those messages, they've completed 1.6 million topics, which basically translates to about 31 years worth of content that's been consumed in just a few months. And what we're also really proud of is our 2 last stats here. 44% of the people who start learning on the platform end up actually completing it, and 99% of those learners would like to learn more on the DigiBot. So yeah, really, really good numbers there. So that's a little bit about what we've managed to do so far in terms of education and WhatsApp. In terms of what we have been talking about with Unisa and what we really see our vision becoming is to create a personal education trainer on WhatsApp. And we want this to be an innovative WhatsApp bot that links Unisa content and functionality to WhatsApp and helps our students with support, important information, and encouragement to make sure that they really have the best learning experience that they can. And there's 4 important areas that we want to focus on for this. So the first is we want to make sure that we can link up with all of the work that's been happening on Moodle, so that we really have a connection into My Unisa. We also want to find an alternate route for important information for our students. So if there is trouble with any information about when exams are, about results of exams or something like that, we could have a different way for the learners to find out that information to make sure that they have the info that they need. We also want to work on an announcements platform here where we'd be able to actually use WhatsApp as an announcements channel for Unisa, where we'd be able to push notifications on important information to students depending on anything that they're related to, whether it's their course or their year of study, anything like that. And lastly, we really want to start experimenting with learning on WhatsApp. And we already have this functionality built in, as you've seen, but we want to take it to the next level in terms of the level of Unisa study. Gamification can always be improved, and we'll add on to that. And we're very interested in finding out about multiple languages on WhatsApp, so that learners can see if they can learn in different languages as opposed to just English. So that's what we want to do, and we know that to get there, we're going to be focusing on a couple of areas which you might find interesting. We're going to be looking into the personality and the CI and how the bot is going to look. We're going to obviously have the tech backend all sorted out there, so a WhatsApp line, a learning management system platform, which is always improving. Working with the team at Unisa on WhatsAppifying the content and adding in the tools and functionality that we want to. Marketing and PR is also very important here, because it's not a case of build it and they will come. We need to make sure that we actually have a great marketing campaign behind this to get the students excited and learning and onto the WhatsApp bot. Once we've got them there, we are also very aware that we are going to have some community management here and have an idea on how we manage the students keep them motivated and encouraged along their learning journey. And behind all of that, as I've said, there'll be a data layer where we have our dashboard, our reporting, testing, and analytics. In terms of where we are on this journey so far, so we started off working with Denzel and the team on ideation. We've had a couple of workshops and we've agreed with UNISA and all partners on what we want to accomplish with our vision. We've now laid out the specs for our POC in terms of what we want to do to show that it is viable and it'll work across WhatsApp and the entirety of UNISA. We're hoping to launch this in either Q4 2022 or just at the beginning of 2023. And once we've got that POC launched and we've shown that this is really a great way for our learners to interact with UNISA using WhatsApp, we want to grow this across the entirety of UNISA and really get this POC to become something that is integral to the UNISA learning experience for your learners. So that's what we've got to do so far. If you want to chat more about it, I've just got my email address over there. But more importantly than that, if you just look at those QR codes over there with your phone, you'll be able to start chatting to each of our two main bots, Lesedi or Kitso, and you can get an experience of yourself about how the bots work and how awesome it's going to be for your students to start interacting on WhatsApp. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much, Levon, for that. Okay, before you run off, Levon, let me just make sure you've got any questions. Colleagues, any questions on your side? Any questions? Can't see any questions? Okay, no questions. Thanks, Levon. We'll catch up via email as well. Thanks.
Good stuff.
Thanks, perfect. Okay, so let's move on the program. Next up, we have the colleagues from Microsoft. But before we move on to Microsoft, as per the program, okay, so before we move on to Microsoft as per the program, I asked Samantha just to set some context for us, Samantha, please. For those of you that don't know Samantha, for those from ADOVH know Samantha, you probably know her by not being on the camera, but being behind the scenes. But thanks, Samantha, for setting the context for us. Please put your hands together for Samantha. Thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. So this reminds me of my days, for those who... Can you hear me? Is it loud enough? No. Is the mic impacted by ESCOM? So having this mic up here is bringing back memories. But nonetheless, good afternoon, everyone. I am Samantha Nelson. I am an account executive from Microsoft. Honored enough to have been invited here by the ADOVH team. The truth is we've walked a journey with UNISA, particularly just in terms of from a technical point of view, involved with the ICT team, but subsequently quite a lot of strides covered from a CPD and obviously working with ADOVH. So I think quite a bit has been said this morning just pertaining to where we're going to from a higher ed point of view. But I think whenever I think about education, I'm always reminded of the fact that we have children who currently are within, the primary school and going through their paces, adopting technology much faster than we ever could. I'm fortunate enough to have a 3-year-old niece who can handle my iPad far better than I ever could, So when we think about this, look at the type of student, and this is where we talk about the 21st century, design that comes into thinking. Think about the future student that you're going to be having. And not just in terms of a new student, but even though with UNISA for the longest time, you've always been the pioneers in terms of lifelong learning. But we have seen in terms of your statistics over the years, with most of the other universities limiting the amount of new intakes, that your stats pertaining to students newly out of university, high school, coming into UNISA as such. So with that context, put into frame of mind, a big one for us is that no one should be left behind. And I think it was said in one of the, speeches earlier this morning. What I've got in front of you is essentially what we're looking at as Microsoft from an education point of view. And this is what we talk about in terms of an education transformation framework. So think about this framework that essentially where we put in years and hours of research, taking into consideration which way are we going to be going and what are the key things that we need to be bringing through as such. A pillar that my colleagues are going to be touching on is very much under the teaching and learning ambit. And when we looked at Minecraft as an example from just this morning's intense taking us through it with RGB gaming, that falls under what we would call our future ready skills. And our National Technology Officer over here will also be touching on that pertaining to the AI University as such. Why am I bringing this up? To our CIO, who for the first time I got to meet in person, we've done this on Teams. What I'm trying to say is, in terms of these key pillars here, this is where collaboration comes in. And you would have noticed this morning that we had two of our partners here in the form of Scott Giles, etc. The point we're making is partnerships is what's going to get us to move ahead. And we're here as Microsoft committed to this partnership. Shall I sing? 80 blow fun. I'm joking. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. But nonetheless, I'm going to give over to Asif Ali, our National Technology Officer.
Good afternoon. I'm sure you guys all presentation out by now.
Exactly.
So apologies for that because I actually do have a presentation. So really sorry about that. Let's start with it. Sure. Just wait for the screen to come up. So my name is Asif Ali. I'm the National Technology Officer at Microsoft. So from a role perspective, my job is really to help inform policy regulation on the one side, because that's important when we talk about technology and how we use technology at the country level, how we apply it and how we do it responsibly. And then the other side, it's about the technology itself and how we evangelize and make sure that our clients are able to use the technology, adapt to the technology, and obviously also provide them with training as you guys do from the technology perspective. So these are the areas that are important. And obviously speaking after Pepper, it's sort of a tough room to actually cover. And the reason for that obviously is the topic that I'm talking about, which is AI. So AI really forms the cornerstone of everything that we see today as technology is evolving. How do we make it smarter? How do we integrate capabilities into it in order to use things like NLP or learning programs or language procedures and so on natural language into technology so that we can actually use it more efficiently and make it smarter, obviously. But today the advancements that is taking and growing into every industry. So we not only see technology apply in specific industries like in the IT space, but AI is one of those technologies that we see as a broad spectrum in terms of what it's covering today. Thanks, I've got slides up. Great, so what we've developed is a one-year postgrad program, or designed it as a one-year postgrad program, in order to be able to drive the awareness within students with some of the basic skills and capabilities that is needed from their side to be able to cover. And I'm just going to try and get this working. Great. Okay, so that's basically, I've covered some of it already. So the program has been piloted at a couple of universities already, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But as we go through it, as I said, the program itself has been developed in conjunction with universities across the world. And in South Africa, specifically, we piloted it with Central University of Technology. It's been developed as a one-year program for students to be able to really gain the experience that they need across the curriculum. Because this is really tough stuff. It's not easy to be able to become an AI engineer. And so you need not just the theory of the training, you also need a lot of practical hands-on experience. as you go through the curriculum, as you go through the training. So the one-year program is made up of classroom training, we do skills labs, there's obviously a lot of online learning that the students need to be doing, and then obviously, that concludes into certification. So the model obviously will follow any kind of student-centered type learning process where we cover all the aspects with the student in the center in terms of the multi-tiered collaboration, in terms of the theory as well as applying of the theory. And one of the things that you're going to see we're going to talk about as well as part of the program overview is a very important thing which we talked to Dr. Chetty, is responsible AI. So when we talk about from an orientation perspective, we talk about the technology almost at the end of it. When we start out with defining the strategy, so as people go out, as students go out into the world, it's about helping organizations define a strategy. Because AI is not just a tool that you put in place, it really has to be part of the organization, the fabric of the organization. It's a real big change process for organizations to go through. The second one is this defining or discovering what we call AI-ready culture. Now this is such an important part. As I said, AI is really a change that organizations actually embarking on. So culture is a very important part of how you implement it. The next one is what we call responsible AI. And I think so when I talked to Dr. Chetty, this is kind of where he thinks UNISA needs to pivot on in terms of its AI development as a curriculum, as a course, is very focused around this thing called responsible AI. And responsible AI, because we've seen many issues with AI over time in terms of how people have developed and the issues that have emerged from it, responsible AI is kind of a cornerstone Microsoft will be working on to make sure that there's fair and transparency when developing AI. And then obviously, like I said, the last part is really the AI itself. So just from a Microsoft perspective, we have 6 guiding principles when it comes to responsible AI, with fairness being kind of right at the top, because we've seen these biases being developed in the past when people have developed solutions around AI. Reliability, safety, privacy, and security. And all of these talk through some very practical examples you guys may have seen or heard of. As an example, with a person driving a car or a self-driving vehicle, when there's a person in front of it, does it continue on that path or does it go out to the pavement where there's other people? So, how do you create equity amongst those type of, so that all forms part of responsible AI in terms of accountability and transparency in terms of how you develop technology. So AI is not just about the technology, it's about every aspect of it. It's about the people aspect of it, the cultural aspect of it. So this is what we're trying to teach as part of this program. But when you look at the technical aspects of it, obviously, because there will obviously be that, we start with things as basic as networking fundamentals, because that's a cornerstone for anybody actually starting on the technology side. When you don't do this well, people tend to forget how to use it. And then obviously programming in C# is one of the important parts. So thinking of this as a postgrad program, and I'll take you through the criteria just now, we find that people are coming into the course don't actually have some of these fundamentals. So we've put the fundamentals right on the top. And then we get into the hardcore stuff, which is the learning part around Azure fundamentals, and then the AI engineer associate program itself, which we again go through all of the different aspects of that and then get to ultimately the kind of certification that you're looking at. As I mentioned, the program is not only about teaching you in a classroom or learning online, it's also about learning and doing. So this is what we call the skills lab part of it. So this is where students will actually take on projects which UNISA will be able to develop, CAN type projects, or give them live projects. The university, I'm sure, has many projects that it would like to AI enable. So take those projects, give it to the students to start to work on, very similar to your Minecraft stuff that you saw earlier. How do you give students the actual opportunity to innovate with you as an organization? So very similar here, give them the projects, let them start to develop and work on the projects while you coach them and oversee that. And then let them obviously, certification is an important part, and I think so you all understand the importance of certification. I don't have to re-emphasize that here. So the certification element of it will go through across it. As we said, the theory part is only 30% of what we envisage. 70% is where we think the focus of the students need to be. And as a postgrad student, this will give them an opportunity of working while they're doing this course, as an example. So it very much fits into the model that UNISA drives today. From a course timeline perspective, as we said, it's 1 year. The 1 year basically is made up of a short part of classroom training, practical training, while there's also online learning, because again, when you talk about skill sets for AI, there may be other associated skill sets like project management or presentation or any other side of softer skills that people would need. So give them access to the online learning. So we do that today through LinkedIn Learning. LinkedIn Learning has a huge amount of courses, 16,000 plus online courses, which people can go and gain some of these soft skills that they may need. So an online learning will be a key part of this. So I'm going to switch now to a testimonial. Let's hope the video works. Otherwise, we will try it again. Thanks. So this is a testimonial from one of the lecturers at CUT when we did the pilot project. So I'll just give you a quick sense of what she thinks about the program and how she's reflected on it. So give me a moment. Let me see if this works. Richard, you're close by, right?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Noma Bongo Masana, one of the participants in the AI program. The program provides a wonderful opportunity to improve and gain skills in the AI field. It has not been an easy journey. There is a lot of time you need to invest in studying and research to keep up to date with the enormous information provided. However, the program is a great opportunity, especially in the era we are living in. I would highly recommend that people take the opportunity should it be provided to them. It would greatly benefit the country if more people possess these critical skills in AI. People will become more innovative and use their innovations to improve the country and solve problems faced by the country and the world. Being certified in AI will provide me with the opportunity to transfer my knowledge to other people and to incorporate what I have learned in my work and research as an academic. Overall, I believe that the program offers a great opportunity to improve our skills, but more time is needed to fully apply the knowledge gained.
Great. So we worked with the Central University of Technology as our first partner to pilot the program in South Africa about 2 years ago. And obviously, you saw this company called Gajima is one of our training partners that was used to actually train the first cohort of lecturers to actually go forward and train the rest of the people on the programs. So as I mentioned, there's a prerequisite to everything, because as you heard from the testimonial, the course is extremely technical in nature. So you do need some basic understanding of some of the technology areas. So that's the one aspect of it, and we do cover some of the fundamentals. But just in terms of adapting to doing a technical course like this, you need some deep thinking capability. So we talk about computer science, robotics, or engineering, or physics, or anybody in those fields will be able to have the kind of mindset to be able to adapt to the culture of AI, stats 1 and 2, maths 1 and 2. So you can see it's very much within that space of the sciences that one needs the capability to be able to think in. And when you look at it, we get a little bit more detail. So in terms of the roles and responsibilities, so what is Microsoft's role in partnering with UNISA in this year? What is the role of the host university, in this case UNISA? And then obviously there's always a partner in order to assist you in your journey as you go forward, which is normally our Microsoft training partners, which assist usually the universities either in helping them co-run the program because of the deep technical nature of the program, or help train the faculty members that are going to be actually delivering the training within UNISA. So this is definitely a partnership, and we hopefully will clarify that in more details. And there is an MOU that I know that Sam is working on together with UNISA to get that in place, so that there's a good understanding with UNISA in terms of the roles and responsibilities in delivering a program like this. So as I mentioned, there is a number of institutions already, TVET colleges and universities, that have embarked onto this training program. Each of them are focusing on a different aspect and a different capability of the program. So in the Free State, obviously, there's great opportunity in the agri space, in the financial services space, where they're looking at building capabilities for their local communities. When you talk about UJ, they're focusing more on information warehousing, and that's where they think the opportunity for AI is for them. Talking to Dr. Chetty here, you know, the focus here would be responsible AI and how do we develop that capability within UNISA students so that when they come out of it, they have this focus as a center of attention. So we've trained about 17 or 18 institutions to date. We've seen some private ones like ADOVH already launched the program. CUT have launched the program, and they will continue to drive the program forward as they build capacity and capability. And apologies, the slide is not very good. I realize that now. And then KLM Empowered is another private institution that have done it, and as I mentioned, UJ. So we've got 4 of them which are actively running the program either this year or starting next year, with the other 14 or so that we've already trained, and they will kick off during the course of this year or next year into the academic years. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. I just want to close off with one more video. I wanted to keep it short just to give you a bit of an introduction, but I think so this video always for me kind of encapsulates the power of what we're talking about here today. Thank you.
Today, right now, you have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. Think about that. That's what technology really is. It's possibility, it's adaptability, it's capability. But in the end, it's only a tool. What's a hammer without a person who swings it? It's not about what technology can do, it's about what you can do with it. You're the voice, and it's the microphone. When you're the artist, it's the paintbrush. We are living in the future we always dreamed of. We have mixed reality that changes how we see the world, and AI empowering us to change the world we see. You have more power at your fingertips than entire generations that came before you. So here's the question: what will you do with it?
Thanks, Asif. I think that actually sets a good context for us. Just to pick up on our collaboration with Microsoft AI, we don't want to duplicate what other universities are doing. We want to find a niche that we want to tap into. And if we look at one of the niches that is not being explored, is AI and ethics, right? And when we talk AI and ethics, remember ethics is interdisciplinary. It opens up a whole new space for us. But in addition to AI and ethics, remember that our VC's background is in ethics as well. So we can leverage that as an institution and really push AI and ethics from an interdisciplinary space that works across. And I think that's where it opens up a lot of potential for us, Asif, to think about how we, as UNISA, redefine that space in ethics from ethics and AI. So thank you very much for that, Asif, and the collaboration. Colleagues, the next is Brendan and Vanessa that has been working with us. To set a little bit of context for them, these colleagues are going to travel with us across the country, and they're going to do a mass adoption of Microsoft 365, right? So let me hand over to them. And I know you are experiencing a little bit of technology with our internet, and I'm hoping that the Wi-Fi actually gives us. But yeah, so let's look at what they've got. I know they've got a really good innovation for us. Thanks, Brendan.
Thank you, Dr. Chetty. It's not the technology, it's ESCOM. Okay, good afternoon, colleagues. It is super exciting to be in a face-to-face event. I was talking to some of you, and it's been like, 3 years? And we kind of forgot, what is that face-to-face meeting etiquette now? And it's kind of weird, exciting altogether, and we have to relearn all of these things. So in the spirit of partnership and collaboration, my colleague and I, Banele, have prepared some experiences for you, and hopefully the Wi-Fi doesn't let us down, and we're going to obviously take you through that. Fingers crossed. Thank you very much. So before I start, right, I think it's important to understand the organizations you partner with, right, and what's important to them, as well as what's important for you. So when we look at something that's really, really dear to us, it starts with our mission. It is certainly a lived experience. Every day we wake up and we think about how do we enable and empower every single student, educator, institution in the world to achieve more. Okay? When we talk about enablement, we've got the technology and the solutions, right, that helps to enable. But when we talk about empowerment, right, it's partnership like yours and ours, right, that creates that empowerment opportunity for our students. So today we're going to talk about and we're going to pivot around a specific platform that you already have today that's going to create those rich experiences for your students and your educators. But before I go there, there's something else we need to think about, right? As technology evolves and we evolve as people, there's one important thing that we need to also protect, right? And it's our planet and our environment. We talk about responsible AI, but we also have to talk about being responsible when we're creating technology. And there's something you may not know. From a Microsoft perspective, we have made global commitments, and I want to share that with you today so that you understand who you're partnering with. Number one, we have committed by the year 2030 to be carbon negative, meaning that we will produce less carbon emissions than we are regulated to do so. We're not only going to stop there, we've also committed that we will remove all historical carbon emissions by the year 2050. Two other important pillars that we also committed towards. The other one is around fresh water. If you don't know, most of our operations in terms of data centers where we operate is cooled by fresh water. So we want to replenish all of those basins where we consume water from. And then finally, in terms of the products that we manufacture, we want to be able to remove all the waste by reusing, repurposing, and recycling all of those materials. Okay, can you go to the next slide, please? So, having said that, we want to showcase to you today the rich experiences if you only access all of the different capabilities and functionalities from the Teams platform. Now, when we talk about this platform, it brings all of your digital experiences from a student and educator perspective in one place. You know, the biggest challenge is, having a desktop and you have multiple tabs open, you have multiple applications, and it becomes very cumbersome to navigate. Now, we've removed all of that by bringing you a central platform that integrates almost everything that you have today from a tooling perspective. Number one, everything from a Microsoft perspective can be integrated as part of the platform. When we talk about things like your Exchange Online, your calendaring, we talk about all of the applications that you use on a daily basis, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and even applications that you probably don't use, like Flipgrid, right? Giving students that voice to be able to then, do short videos and share if they are introverts, for example. Then we talk about things like meeting experiences, which you probably use on a daily basis, right? There's chats, there's voice, there's video, the different meeting experiences from just a meeting, live webinars, live events, whether it's one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-many, all of these experiences are in one central digital platform. Okay? And really, really, really exciting. We don't only integrate our first-party applications, we also work with independent software vendors where you've probably invested as well, and we are bringing all of those applications and experiences as part of this platform as well, making it even more accessible. And then finally, and I'll stop and I'll pass over to the exciting part where Banele will take you through, we also recognize, right, that you are using learner management systems, and there's different learner management systems out there. We've been working over the years in terms of bringing that into our Teams platform to make it one integrated solution. So, as an example, Moodle, Blackboard, Schoology, Brightspace are all of these LMSs that today can integrate as part of the Teams platform, making that an even more richer, seamless experience for your teachers as well as your students. I'm going to stop there and now let Banele take you through some of these experiences, and hopefully the Wi-Fi doesn't let us down. Banele, over to you.
Right. Good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Banele Mngci. I'm from Soweto, Dobsonville, and I'll be taking you through a demo within Microsoft Teams. In fact, the entire ecosystem inside the Microsoft suite of products. So let me just pull it up quickly. All right, so before I begin, what you see on the slide, whoops.
There we go. Right. Okay, so what you see on the slides here, this is the office portal. So every student, when they receive their My Unisa account, this is the screen that they'll be greeted with. So from here, they'll be able to access all of the applications that are on the far left-hand side. So this includes their emails, it includes the productivity suites like your Word, Excel, PowerPoint, as well as Microsoft Teams. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about is accessibility. But, accessibility has been spoken about, this morning, but I want to basically bring that to life, what it basically means for the student, what it means for, the institution and the lectures. So we are in South Africa and we've got 12 official languages. And one of the languages that is also widely spoken is Zulu, right? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to open up OneNote, and this is a note-taking application within the Microsoft suite. So students can use this application to take down notes. They can collaborate together and they can share notes. So I've got text right here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring to life the features around inclusiveness, because not every student is able to read. Not every student is able to, understand the content that is being relayed to them. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to demo a feature called text to speech, where we're taking the text on screen and we will use the read aloud feature. So to do that, it is as simple as follows. So I'm going to open up something called Immersive Reader, and you'll see that Immersive Reader is available through the entire stack of applications. So it's not just one application, and I think it's important for me to mention this because at Microsoft, when it comes to accessibility, it is not an afterthought. So what we do is we build it in from the ground up, and it's not something that's bolted on as an afterthought. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to play back the text, and because it's Women's Month, I'm going to choose a female voice. And let's have a listen.
Collection of ebooks made. The Unisa Library has an extensive collection of ebooks made available through our electronic databases. These collections cover a variety of disciplines including business, economics, technology, engineering, humanities, arts, and science, etc.
Right, so that's the text-to-speech feature. And, we can slow down the narration. So they've got the option of playing it much slower. So when they click here, they've got the option of slowing down the speed. And they can also choose different, voices for diversity. But what I want to draw your attention to is the inclusive nature of Microsoft. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to navigate to the top right corner. I'm going to click on the reading experiences, and right here under translate, what I'm going to do is I'm going to first translate the text from English to Zulu, and after that I'm going to play back the same audio but this time around in a Zulu voice. And for those that are Zulu speaking, I've got a question after this where I need you to tell me if the pronunciation in Zulu, does it sound authentic? Does it sound like it's, a Zulu speaking person? So let me know after this. All right, so just by clicking on the document feature here, I've essentially translated that text into Zulu. So the entire text has been translated, but now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit the playback and I'm going to choose a female voice again, and then we'll have a listen. Just tell me if this sounds authentic.
I-Unisa Library ineqoqo elikhulu lezincwadi ezenziwe zatholakala ngemininingwane yethu ye-elektroniki. Lamaqoqo ahlanganisa imikhakha ehlukahlukene ehlanganisa ibhizinisi, ezomnotho, ubuchwepheshe, ubunjiniyela, ubuntu, ubuciko, nesayensi nje.
Right, so didn't that sound authentic, like it's actually a person that was talking in Zulu? Cool. Right, so that's the translation feature. So at the end of the day, this is just technology, right? But what does this mean for a student? It means that they'll be able to understand a lecture or a passage that they need to have it translated to their own language so that they can gain a much better understanding of what's being taught and so on. So this feature, as I'm talking to you right now, is available. So we're not talking about something that will be available in future. They can make use of it today, right now. So you might be wondering, Banele, yep, Zulu, okay, but what about other languages? It's in the pipeline, it's in the pipeline. So this is only a start, right? And when I say that we bring these inclusive or accessibility features to life, this is exactly what I mean. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna move on to Microsoft Teams, which is the hub of collaboration. It's the hub of communication. And there was a question that was posed around accessibility for people that are visually impaired. So that's the first feature that I'm gonna demo to you. So I'm going to move on to Microsoft Teams, and by default, this is the window that students will be able to see. But for those that are visually impaired, there is a feature called high contrast, where it separates the text and the background so that it's visually, highlighted, and the person will be able to see it much better. And to activate this, it's quite simple, where you go to the three ellipsis dots menu, you click on settings, and they can click on high contrast. So for those that are visually impaired, this is a feature which will allow them to see the text much more better. They can increase the font size, and the same features that I was demoing on OneNote, they are also available within Microsoft Teams. So the translation features, reading progress features, they are available right here. So I'm just gonna go back to the normal view. And the next feature that I want to show you is around the dictation feature, right? So initially when I started, I said that with Microsoft, we build these tools across the entire stack. So it doesn't really matter if you're in Word, if you're in PowerPoint, if you're in Teams, these features will be able to work. So I'm gonna open up Microsoft Word right here. And what I'm gonna do is I'm going to play back a recording that I did in a noisy environment. So when we talk about AI working for the student, AI working for, us as human beings, this is a perfect example. So on the right-hand side, I've got an audio that I've recorded, and I'm just gonna hit play just so that you hear that, it is noisy in the background, but the speech to text feature will now take place, where we're now going in reverse. So remember, initially we started with text to speech. Now it's speech to text. So think about the situations where this can, come into play, where a lecture recording has been done, and they can then take that audio and then transcribe it and then be able to go through it if they prefer reading. Okay, so let me just play the backup here. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We are happy that you are here, and we look forward to sharing with you all the ideas that we have prepared for you. So sit back, enjoy the ride. Let's begin. Right, so you can tell that this was done in a noisy background, but if I go back to Microsoft Word, on the right hand side, even though it's a little bit small, but you can see that it was able to pick out the pronunciation, the small nuances, and then from here I can just click on add to document, and the entire transcription will then be laid out on the document. So this is powerful. Again, what does this mean for students? It means that they can save time. It means that they can focus on their studies and let the technology just fade into the background, and they can go about their daily lives. So the last thing that I'm going to show you here today is around Microsoft Teams, that within Teams, we've got what we call Teams classrooms. Now, think of Teams classrooms as a virtual classroom, where in a classroom, you've got a notebook that all of the students can collaborate on. They can see the notes that have been uploaded to that notebook. There's also assignments, and assignments is a tool where a lecturer can quickly put together an assignment, send it out to the students, and then the students will be able to, complete it, send it back, and then the lecturer can grade it and then send it back to the students. So it's that quick. And then there's also the grading feature, like I've mentioned. But another feature which Brendan will touch on just before we close is the reflect feature, as well as the insights. Now, with the reflect, we're talking about student well-being. Especially right now, with students, being in remote areas and so on, it is important for a lecturer to understand how they are feeling, right? So he'll touch on that. So yeah, that's it on my end. And there's just so much that I wanted to show you, but in the interest of respecting your time, I'm just going to close here. And I just hope that you were excited about the AI features, the translation features that come to life that can benefit the lecturers, the school. Yeah, so thank you so much.
Yeah, just in closing, right, and I think it's important, this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what UNISA has today. This exists in your environment, and together we want to obviously unearth and uncover this with all of the students and helping them develop, right, to that digital literacy point where they are comfortable. And when you are comfortable with something, you tend to perform better. And it's as simple as that. So when we talk about insights and reflect, these are not things done as an afterthought. It was all built in from the ground up. So insights in terms of, let's just go into it. Maybe we can do a quick. So assignments been published to students, they've responded, and when the educator gets it back, it can be automatically marked using a rubric, or the educator can do it themselves. And then given the results, we can see which students have performed poorly, what is the grade average, and all of the data is then surfaced in a single dashboard. Now, when we look at that, we can then focus on students that need more support and help, right? That's what data informs us. However, in correlation to the reflect, there could be an underlying social, emotional, or physical problem as well, because a student could have answered the reflect and said, I don't feel good today. And that could relate to the performance of that assignment. So all of those rich data points, right, will inform us in terms of what interventions we need to take as a collective. So with that, I have one question and answer, right? And I'll answer it because typically Indians ask questions and answer. We all know that, right? What do you get when you put like-minded, passionate people in the same room? We can achieve the art of the possible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very, very much, colleagues. I think that was excellent. I'm glad that you actually demoed the language part. I think that was one of the most critical things that we were actually seeing at the table, and that's an ideal resource. So Brendan, Vanessa, we look forward for the next part when we really go down to the areas and start training students. Thank you. Colleagues, once again, thank you to these colleagues. Our CIO needs to leave now, but before she leaves, I'm going to give her the last word, and I'm going to ask Lindiwe to come to the front. Okay.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Chetty. This has been a wonderful morning. I've learned a lot, and I can see that there's so much that you're already doing in your space. I can only hope that we can become a part of that and really explore other ways to reach, or at least help you reach higher heights. So I'm excited by the work that you're doing, and I'm looking forward to more that we can do through our Microsoft partnership. I think there's areas, as we were talking about, short learning programs for staff. and how we can use this type of helping staff understand how we maximize these resources, because it's very important in our digitalization principle of digital workplace that we help our colleagues use as much of the resources that we have as possible. So I think there's a lot that we can do. There's a lot that we are already doing. Thank you for opening my eyes and really showing me what are the possibilities. Thank you, Dr. Chetty. Thank you, colleagues.
Thank you, and this. Thank you. I must say, it's the first time that we ever had a VPCI sit for an entire workshop at UNISA. So we really appreciate that. So thank you for that. Thank you, colleagues. We're going to do a quick, thank you. And we're going to do a quick closing reflections. And I'm going to ask Cloaky first. Cloaky, thoughts for the day? And when the other two colleagues come back, so talk to me.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chetty. Colleagues, it has been an absolute pleasure to be part of this amazing event. I think the standard has been set, and all of us from our respective domains and departments, we should already be seeing possibilities on how we can contribute. It has been really, really, really exciting, and I'm really happy and glad that I could continue to be a part of it and continue to weigh my support towards making sure that all that we could do as a department in favor of seeing the vision that ADOVH is driving in being a reality, that we will continue offering that support as best as we can. Thank you very much for the invite.
Thanks, Lucky. Colleagues, open the floor for any other comments, any other observations that you want to... Oh, yeah, Lucas.
Afternoon, colleagues. I hope this is not negative, Dr. Chetty. I think the center of all the options you have done today is around access to data. And I think it's where somehow the university is struggling, especially access to data for students. Because you can imagine all these options, if I don't have data, it means, I was even going to ask the Microsoft guys, is this options of translation and whatever needing data for it to happen? If yes, if I don't have data, it means I don't have that option. So I think it's upon us as a university to fight this fight of making sure students have access to data, because it sits at the center of everything that we have presented today.
I don't think that's negative. I think it's actually positive. As much as we advance technology, we need to make sure our students have accessible as well. Dr. P, your last observations, anything that you want to add?
Okay, thank you, Dr. C. Thank you, colleagues. I'm just full of excitement, and my wish, Dr. C, as you always know, is that whatever we're implementing on the student side, we also take to the academic side, because I'm afraid our students are fast being developed, our academics are left behind, but I have confidence that with our collaboration, we are going to make it possible. Otherwise, it's exciting stuff, paper. I'm so excited. Thank you.
Thanks, colleagues. Anybody else? Any other reflections? No? Okay, thanks. I also want to thank our ICT colleagues as well for joining us. Thank you very, very much. We appreciate your support as well in the space. And we know that we can change the space at UNISA as well. So colleagues, that's it from my side. I just want one last thing is for all the presenters. I know there's some presenters that actually left already, but the presenters are still here. Lindiwe has something for you. So Lindiwe is going to end it out. And where is Dr. Sheila? Dr. S is not here. Okay, Lindiwe, you can come fine. So if you presenters, please can you stand up, then we can give you some just to say thank you. I mean, it cost you time and effort as Dr. S comes through. So thank you very much for that. There's Dr. S coming there. So you can do the final vote of thanks. Richard, before we ask Dr. S, let me give you to say a final round of words because you've been behind the scenes as well, Richard. And thanks to our presenters as well. Thank you. Richard?
No, I just also want to say thank you for everybody for joining us today. All the people we're working with, the collaborators, good to see you face to face. I know it's always just on screens. And also the team that broadcasted today to YouTube. They did a wonderful job. We got a lot of interactions there. And we look forward to working with all of you in the next year in getting all the, how can I say, our aims fulfilled with supporting our students. Thanks.
Thanks, Richard. Yeah, special thanks, Kanisila and your team. Thank you very, very much. Dr. S, final vote of thanks, please.
Thank you, Dr. D. Colleagues, let me first start by acknowledging that ADOVH is really adding value to the student support. And this engagement of today is about student support. And when we are not supporting our students, we are not going to get the outcome or the aim that the university is aiming at achieving. So I want to also thank our partners that are here, Microsoft, Multimedia. Without you, I don't know, we won't be seen by the world. Again, Dr. Chetty, I just want to say 2 words to describe you today. Leadership, coordination. And Mema Shangu, although I'm describing you with 1 word today to thank you, but this word is very loaded. You are a very good organizer, and keep it up. I want to also thank our Vice Principal, Prof. Motsa Madikana in absentia. You know, I like how always when she opens an event and she makes sure that everyone is welcomed and everyone is at ease. And I just want to remind you again what she was really telling us, because she told us the relationship between automation and transformation. I hope is something that we are going to be taking forward today, while we are keeping in mind that we are supporting our students. Unfortunately, our VP ICT, who is also our Chief Information Officer, she just left now. I also want to thank her for bringing to our attention the digital principles and also the ICT digitization strategy, which is student-centric. And I love that because it's all about student support. And by so saying, she was actually speaking our language as ADOVH. Prof. Mahanu, she called herself a fan of student support. I would say she is a mother of student support, because it's like student support is in her genes. And she made a very good presentation of showing us who our diverse students are and where do they come from. Because as we are teaching or supporting our students, sometimes we forget, or sometimes we imagine something different about our students. And she encouraged us to design for inclusivity. And also, she also reminded us that pedagogy should lead, not technology. Because technology is to support. So, Menageni also was given homework by Prof. Marano to say she must make sure that Cas Van Vieren is really giving the support that is needed by our students and by us. And when I was accompanying Menageni out there, for sure you saw her stopping by. She was still making follow-up to some of the support that her people are supposed to give. But I'm happy that we have Tate Malele here. We have also other ICT members who were listening to the homework that was given to Menageni, and we are hoping they are going to make sure it happens. So as ADOVH, we also got a homework, Dr. C, that we shouldn't forget. And that homework we were given together with CPD to say, as we are supporting, what about scholarship? We should pull up our socks when it comes to that. And I see Vanessa is looking at me directly. And because in ADOVH, we are resting that with you, and we are giving you that platform to say, lead us in the scholarship. RGB, the red, green, and blue. Thank you so much for the gaming. Because as ADOVH, we believe in gamifying our curriculum. We even have a MOOC that we have developed, which is about Africanizing our curriculum through games. Then we really thank you so much, because myself, I love gaming. I started digital gaming back in 1995, 1996. I played the game called Mario. I don't know if you know it. So yeah, I'm a fan of electronic gaming, and I downloaded Minecraft. I have it. I was competing with my daughter last night. It's nice. So all of you, the team, I'm not going to read all your names. We thank you, and it is exciting to learn that Minecraft is inclusive. There's nothing which will really take away the good thing that you are doing if you are not inclusive. As we were given the diverse nature of our students, they all need to be included. Microsoft, Bianca, thank you very much. You really did a good job by making sure that you are presenting the recent skills that we are needing, and also we are looking forward to work with you guys. So the ICT skills you mentioned, we are going to make sure that we get capacitated, because we still have Microsoft with us. Mr. Gillis, I don't know if I'm pronouncing your name properly. Thank you for coming with Pepper. Oh, he left already. I saw something there. I thought it's Pepper's shoes. Maybe they forgot them. and I remember when I sat next to Pepper, Pepper could feel my height, and she said to me, "You are the same height as me." And I remember that I have high heels. Yeah, so this is the technology that we need. Like Dr. C mentioned, that our students, they need our support 24/7. And sometimes we need to rest, we need to sleep, and at that time, people like Pepper can take over, can do the night shift for us. Digify Africa, thank you very much. The team is doing a very good job, because you are using the media which our students are having access to, and our students love so much. I remember at some stage, we didn't allow WhatsApp to be a formal medium of communication at the university, where we were enforcing that send an email. Email is the formal, but our students, when they get a lecturer's WhatsApp, they will just WhatsApp you. So WhatsApp is the medium that our students have. They can access it, they are familiar with, and they love it, whether we like it or not. So even when we're having our engagements with students, first thing they type on the charts, what is the WhatsApp group? Join me to the WhatsApp group, link me to the WhatsApp group. They send their phone numbers to be linked to WhatsApp groups. That's the first thing they do during our engagements with them. So we believe your product is really gonna work with our students, and we are going to be able to support them. Samantha is still with our vice principal outside, but we are thanking her so much together with her team, because she gave us the transformation framework for higher education. And for us, colleagues, let me do this quickly. For us, as much as we are higher education, we are also servicing the basic education, because the educators that we are producing, they are providing their services at the basic education. And again, the team taught us today that even if we are talking artificial intelligence, we should look into responsible artificial intelligence. That's something we are taking away with us today with those guiding principles. Sorry, Samantha, I thought you are still outside. You are here. And you also reminded us that we are lifelong learners ourselves. As much as we are encouraging our students to become lifelong learners, we are lifelong learners ourselves, and we need you guys to capacitate us. We need to always upskill. So you can take it that when you are showing us whatever 1, 2, 3 things every day, for us is a huge learning, because you are closing the gaps, as Banele was showing, where we get some of the features. Mpo and I already, we were like going into it and seeing how we're going to show our academics how they get to that. So tomorrow, most of our academics will be knowing how to change their screens to be accessible for the students, especially that we are using Teams for our synchronous classrooms. And we are saying the artificial university is where we are coming, all of us. Mr. Naidu and Banele, we are pleased that you are bringing this feature of UNISA African Digital Learner, but we want to also say it's not going to only end in Africa. It's gonna be global. And the partnership empowerment that you have shared with us today is a valuable ingredient for our learner support. We are going to take it away today. And again, team, thank you for making us aware that the access and inclusiveness is there in our 365 suits, and we are going to use it maximally. Colleagues, let me also thank all of you for making sure that this event is possible, for coming here. ADOVH team, big up. Thank you, colleagues.
Thanks, Dorcas. So colleagues, that's it from us as we close the day. Just one final thank you to each one of you. And as we close up for the day, lunch, join us for lunch. I don't know where's Lindy. Where is lunch, Richard? We don't. Lunch should be. Anybody knows where lunch is? We paid for lunch, so lunch should be somewhere. I think lunch is at the main. I think lunch is at the main restaurant, right? Sorry. Anyway. Okay, we'll find out where lunch is. I think lunch should be at the main restaurant. But thank you to each one of you that have joined us today. Thank you to our team one more time, Kanisile. Thank you very, very much. You did excellent. Thank you, Jessica, for manning the YouTube as well. Kanisile, I think it was a very successful event when we merged this, so I really, really appreciate that. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you to each one of you. A round of applause as we close, and we'll wait for Lindiwe to direct us to where lunch is. I know we're all hungry, so thank you.